There's something about having land and sea. Never having to choose between digging in or looking out. Here, you can go where the spirit or the wind moves you. To the tops of the trees, along secluded beaches, or into more wild and scenic rivers than anywhere else in the western United States. We're the closest place to the sunset while still keeping your feet dry, and a destination where anyone can begin. We share more than we keep, so you can see more than you imagined. This is a place you have to touch, hold, and feel to believe. The entire shoreline of the West Coast's best coast is open to you, and playgrounds made of forests are waiting for you. Escape to Curry County and don't leave anything out.
If yours is the next big idea, and you need the right place to fine-tune it, build it, launch it, if you're only your best when you can play more than you work, if inspiration comes from the outside, you belong in Curry County. The westernmost point of the land you love, and the edge between familiar and uncharted. Break the pattern. Be where the airports are as close as the beaches, and industry and recreation never cease to amaze. Dock, dive, and dine in a single day, and never lose your connection. This is the threshold of the West. Live where you can do you, and do it well, at the farthest point from ordinary. Curry County, living on the edge.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
Wildfire, as everyone knows, has emerged as one of the big major issues affecting Oregon and, for that matter, all western states. A real actionable response that's including how do we fight fire, actively managing our forests so that we don't have the fuels out there, and how are we going to protect communities from smoke exposures. The council is really set up to have a comprehensive strategy that's based on action and based on protecting our communities.
The primary focus we as a board have come through with is that in researching the policies for fire management, yes, prescribed fire has its place on the landscape, but not during fire season. We, as a county, passed a proclamation that says once the state fire marshal declares fire season, it'll be nothing but full suppression, and recently took a resolution to the National Association of Counties, essentially says that they support coordination between agencies and local governments for the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens regarding fire. Prescribed fire, fire season, anything that affects our citizens.
This is Lily Morgan from Josephine County, and we are at the Rogue Leadership Forum today, looking at the best possible partnerships that we can come up with to fight the fire issues and the smoke issues that we're facing in Southwest Oregon. So looking forward to coming up with solutions and the partnerships to get the job done so we don't face what we have the last few years with catastrophic fires and smoke that invades our communities for months to come. So this is a good opportunity, and we hope to be successful in the outcome.
Seeing so many people come together has really been exciting for me because there's a lot of expertise, there's a lot of resources, and as we attempt to do a shared stewardship approach to keeping people safe, it's really important that we get together. So my name is Merv George Jr., and I'm the Forest Supervisor for the Rogue River Siskiyou National Forest. One of the first things is making sure to get fires out if they're threatening life and property. The second thing that I'm going to focus in on is when it's safe to do so, to put some fire on the landscape when it's cooler and not during fire season to reduce these same fuels that are giving us so much fits during the fire season.
Bob Horton, I'm the fire chief of Jackson County Fire District 3 in Southern Oregon. The challenges that are facing us in terms of the mega fires and the wildfires that we've been experiencing out in this valley, particularly in the last couple of years, but across the state and across the region, incredibly concerning to us in the fire community, those in our communities in general, our constituents and our patrons are extremely concerned, as they ought to be. Really the takeaway from the work that's being done now is this is an extraordinary collaboration of dozens on dozens of interested stakeholder groups who are coming together with a common purpose. It's really an inspiring showing of humanity to not only be able to provide for a greater quality of life for our people, but to be strong stewards of our land, so that our future for us and generations to come is incredibly bright.
Very pressing issue. It's bearing down on us. Fire season is approaching, and I am really interested in preventing my home and other homes in my community from being impacted by wildfire, specifically from being burnt down. That's my main reason for being involved.
Quite a collaboration of folks. We're here looking for practical solutions to help us unravel some of the issues surrounding wildfires today here in the state of Oregon. And my focus really is on planning for large wildfire events in advance of their occurrence. That way, when they do occur, we can respond more appropriately to those situations.
Well, I just think it's grand if all of the people all over the state have come together today to be concerned about water. It just warms my heart, because I know that they really will leave here today feeling more impressed about the water, because I have told them that we're all born in water. We cannot live without it. It's our job to take care of it, stop the garbage in the rivers and streams and oceans, because there's life in that water, and it's our job to keep it clean for them. Because we cannot live on this planet without the animal kingdom. I was in Ohio at the Ohio River with Dr. Emoto, the Japanese scientist who had proven water could heal. He and I stood on the riverbank and blessed the Ohio River that they had us come to do. And I prayed that God has still kept the river good for them over there. We were taught when we were little that prayer works. You too will remember your prayers, because they work. It has nothing to do with religion or church.
Why do counties matter? Simple. Counties provide the services we all depend on. If you're concerned about crime, get a regular flu shot. Drive to work. Take public transportation. Or experience a natural disaster in your community. Chances are you benefit from county services. That's why counties matter. With America's system of federalism, counties are a key level of government, serving the people directly. So, do you vote? Had a recent hospital stay? Know someone in a nursing home? More reasons why counties matter. There are 3,069 counties across the country, with populations big and small. Most of us live and work in one. Even the nation's capital is considered a county. These county governments ensure that the food you eat in restaurants is safe. They care for the mentally ill, run court systems, build local economies, and operate 911 emergency systems. They manage parks and recreation facilities, and the list goes on. Thing is, counties serve the American people in so many ways, keeping our communities healthy, vibrant, safe, and fiscally sound. That's why counties matter.
Hi there, I'm Patrick Priest, Executive Director at CIS. And I really enjoy coming every year to this conference because CIS, we are all about counties. We are owned by counties. We were formed by the AOC. This is a great occasion for us to meet everybody in one place and learn what's important to the counties all across Oregon.
It's the networking. I mean, we learn a lot about the different issues that counties deal with, but it's networking with other commissioners, getting ideas on how they handle situations that is the most helpful for me.
I love my job. It actually matters to me on a daily basis. I used to do a lot of charity, and, you know, in commissioning in Deschutes County, you can make a serious difference. Lots of things have happened since I've been in office, and I feel like it's important to represent the people. I grew up in Eastern Oregon, and I love the residents of Eastern Oregon. The architect of our first house actually had Doris Day as a dear friend.
Good morning, all. It is June 9th, 2021, Curry County, Oregon Board of Commissioners meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, thank you all. Introductions here. To my far left, Director of Operations, Brad Rickard. To my immediate left, Commissioner Christopher Pash. My name is Court Boyce, Commissioner. To my immediate right, Commissioner John Herzog. To his right, Curry County Council, Anthony Pope. And to his right, Staff Jesuit. In the audience, we have Roadmaster Richard Christensen. So on the agenda board, any adoption or amendments to the agenda before we adopt it? So I assume that's unanimous. No objections. Public comments. Anyone in the audience like to make a public comment? This is our budget committee meeting for the Curry County Public Transit Service District.
It's actually a hearing for the service district. It's labeled wrong on this agenda.
You might want to speak up just a little bit, sir.
This is a hearing for the Curry County Public Transit Service District.
Thank you.
It says hearing.
Here.
Hearing room, okay.
Yeah, it says meeting. So we need to approve the minutes. Budget Committee meeting May 11th, a month ago, 2021. Any objections on that?
Nope. I'll move to approve the minutes.
Second.
Discussion? Call for the question. Staff Jesuit, please.
Commissioner Pash.
Aye.
Vice Chair Herzog.
Yes.
Chair Boyce.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
Item number 5, the public hearing. 902. Agenda item 5A, resolution to adopt transit service district budget.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Or do we have discussion? Call for the question. Staff Jesuit, please.
Commissioner Pash.
Aye.
Vice Chair Herzog.
Yes.
Chair Boyce.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
Agenda item 5B, resolution to set appropriations.
So moved.
Second.
Any other discussion? Call for the question.
Commissioner Pash.
Aye.
Vice Chair Herzog.
Yes.
Chair Boyce.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
Item number 6, Budget Committee questions, comments, and actions.
None.
None.
That's the fastest meeting we ever had. Shows the budget is right on target. So no questions, comments, or actions?
Is.
What's that?
Their budget is.
Their budget is, yeah. Anything else before the Curry County Public Transit Service District Budget Committee meeting hearing for June 9th, 2021, Curry County, Oregon? We're going to adjourn this meeting.
That was a record, 3 minutes. What's that? 3 minutes.
You're going to finish that whole cup of coffee, aren't you?
We
So
gotta
Eric, we're
hurry
going to
before
go
that
into...
half and half goes bad.
We're going to go into our budget hearing.
Do we need to wait till 9:10?
I wonder if we do.
I don't think so because
Okay.
No, I think we're okay.
We're good. Fine with me.
I don't see anybody rushing through the door. What do you think, JJ?
I think Eric needs time to title it.
Okay. Eric, let us know when you're ready for the next meeting. Commissioner Herzog, can we accelerate ahead a few minutes? Good morning, Curry County, Oregon Board of Commissioners. Wednesday, June 9th, 2021. It is 9:05. We're here for the budget hearing for the fiscal year coming up 2021-22. Did we catch what we need to catch there, John? Okay. I had a request to go ahead and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance again, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So, Board, adoption and amendment of the agenda. Any changes you request? Hearing none. Any public comments? Roadmaster Christensen, please come up to the podium. Whoop.
I move that we adopt the agenda as written.
Second.
Any objections? Passed. Item number 3, public comments. Come on up.
We have to vote, sir.
Pardon me?
We have to vote on that.
We are unanimous. Okay, we'll call.
We have to. It has to be.
Staff Jesuit call for the question.
Pash.
Aye.
Vice Chair Herzog.
Yes.
Chair Boyce.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
Council Pope, we have unanimous. Do we have to individually vote every
Kind of
time?
like what you guys want to do, tradition. Some places they like to have it called every time. If it's unanimous and there's no opposition, then you can just do it like that.
Sometimes they don't require that. Yeah, thank you. Public comments, anyone? Oh, how could we forget you? Come on up, Roadmaster Christensen. Thanks for being here this morning.
Good morning, Board of Commissioners. Good morning. Curry County Roadmaster Richard Christensen. I just would like to, I wrote a little blurb here and I'd just like to talk with you about this before you make your decision on approving next fiscal year's budget. And so I just want to say, Commissioners, today it's your choice to decide if you will be the one to start the end of the road fund or preserve it for what it was legally intended to be used for. I would like to ask you all what you would do if there's no road reserve fund right now. What is your plan? We currently have a $7 to $8 million budget shortfall in 3 departments with the general fund, the sheriff's department, and the road department. I suggest that we have no expansion of services this next fiscal year for any department. That's status quo until we find new revenue sources to replace the $7 or $8 million we lost in forest receipts. I think a prudent plan for the road reserves should include sustaining as long as possible for the safety, health, welfare, and economic vitality of Curry County and serving the people in Curry County. The way I see it from my perspective is there's currently about a $3 million budget shortfall in the Sheriff's Department and Civil Patrol, and there's currently about a $1 million shortfall in the general fund, and there's a $4 million budget shortfall in the road department. And the road reserves, if we keep taking $7-8 million out of a year, will be gone in 4 years. The Sheriff's Department will have to cut back 80% in Civil Patrol. Road Department will have to cut back 65%. The general fund, I believe, is going to have to cut back about 40-50%. So let's look at if that was happening today. And so what I really think we need to do is hold the status quo and aggressively this next year get ballot measures out there, a bond measure for the sheriff, a gas tax measure for the road department, and some other kind of measure for the general fund. And next year, we cut back 80% in Civil Patrol. Road department cuts back 65%, and I really believe that if we keep band-aiding this, we're going to destroy the road fund. There will be no future bridge repairs. There will be no future FEMA repairs. We'll have no money to leverage road funds at 10 cents on the dollar for master plan projects. That money will never come back. And I say today's the day that we need to stop and change direction and not push this can down the road any further. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you. Vice Chair Herzog?
Rich, are you fully staffed right now as far as the road department?
No, I'm currently down 6 people. I have a hard time hiring people when I know that what's looming ahead in the 4 years. And also, too, is I've been working creatively with other departments, state highway department, and having them help staff some of our bigger projects, and I help staff their projects as well with chip seal. So we're doing a lot of creative things, and also too is some of the things I'm able to use Dyer Partnership. Like I have 2 open engineer positions. Instead of backfilling those positions, I'm using contract engineering as needed for special projects. Like today, we have a project coming to you, task order 26. We have an emergency repair on Don Cameron Bridge. I have to get that done. And but anyways, yeah, we're running 6 people short. And, and I believe the Sheriff Department right now currently is running 2 people short. And I'm not looking at hiring 6 people. I'm going to be looking at maybe trying to hire 2 out of the 6, just because I have to prepare for U.S. Forest Service next fiscal year to do a chip seal on Bear Camp Road, and I need 21 people minimum to do a chip seal. And I'm going to be reaching out to the state if they'll loan me or rent me a couple of their team members to help with that project too. So, that's kind of where we're at. We're cutting back and lean as mean as we can here at the road department.
Mr. Pash?
I don't have anything.
Thank you, Mr. Christensen. Well, Board, today I'm not going to support, nor am I in favor of passing this budget as is. In fact, I'm not even close. Curry County, some recent public officials' history of big spending and fiscal irresponsibility. It's why the public, understandably, trusts the commissioners the least. I'm recommending the board we take a week, call staff back on the 16th. And I hope the board will give that some serious consideration. On May 10th, we were told the budget was in the red by 2.3 million, 2.5 million. Now we're told that number is 2.8 million. To make good decisions, we need to have good information. I'm not sure if anyone knows where we are in the budget. It's a moving target, and just not acceptable. It's been a month, now that $300,000 difference. We're going in the wrong direction. We're going in the wrong direction. I've spent 4 years battling to save our forests against catastrophic fires. I've worked with AOCC, Association of ONC Counties, to keep our timber receipts coming. I've put up 4 different times revenue generating opportunities for this county, could not get any support. So I'm going to be coming back to the board on the 16th, and I'm going to be recommending some cuts, some consolidations, some outsourcing, and which I've already done. September, I offered a reorganization plan. I got some information from Director Rickard. We're going to be paying $1.8 million just in PERS for next year. $1.8 million. I'd like to keep that a secret, but it's not the right thing to do. The public needs to know what we're up against. And y'all heard my monologue. Actually, you missed just that part, Commissioner, but the first 5 minutes of the May 10th as we open up this budget hearing, how poorly this county's been operated and managed for the last almost 5 years. And here we are. And the road fund reserves will be gone, I think, in less than 3 years. And then what are we going to do when we're going in? I'm going to be going into my 70s, and we can't afford any law enforcement. Timber's not going to come back at the very least 15 years.
We know there's a disaster looming. We have several disasters. You know, it seems like every 7 years we have millions of dollars of emergency projects. Sometimes they're funded by FEMA. You know, actually they're not funded. We have to pay for them outright. Then they return 75% of the money. If we don't have the money, those projects don't happen. So just what happened this last year at Gardner Ridge, if we didn't have the money, that road would not have been repaired. The Langlois Mountain Road slide would not have been repaired. The culvert replacement on McKinnon Drive would not have been replaced. And so these are the things these are real things. And right now, bridges, they cost like $2 million a year to replace. We have several deficient bridges that we need to plan for. And if we don't have 10.27%, we can't apply for those funds. Right, you know, we could replace a $2 million bridge for about $220,000, as long as we have the money in the road fund to leverage. But once the road fund's gone, those opportunities are gone. So thank you very much for hearing me today.
Well, Rich,
yeah, you can stay there. Go ahead.
Well, you know, I when I think of the, you know, we just got a piece of paper earlier, end of last week or maybe the first of this week, and it's the Treasurer's Report. It's the monthly Treasurer's Report, and it says there's $29.6 million in the road fund. So I, you know, being a new guy, I you know, you've been in my office, and I said, and so you explained to me that $1 million of that is insurance. We're self-insured, so we can't touch that $1 million. So now we're at 28.6.
Right.
There's 500,000 that we can't touch.
Right, and that's been a finance thing. I never really understood. That 500,000 is a non-spendable reserve, and that's something from the previous finance director, and I really never understood how that works, but for some reason that money cannot be touched, and they were real explicit about that. So there's the 1.5 million basically that out of that 29 million that's really non-spendable, but that 29 million is all the money in all the road department funds encapsulated in that number.
So we go to, you know, if I do the math, now we're down to 28 million and change. So with this shortfall that you just described in your letter is 7 to 8 million. It's not, like Gord said, it's not even 4 years, and that money will be gone.
It'll be totally gone. And we'll have to cut back the sheriff's patrol 80%, road department 65%, and general fund, I'm not sure how many percent that is, but I'm thinking it's, you know, 40, 50% for all the admin offices. So, you know, right now it's like, if we looked at it, board, your wages, you know, like 40% of your wages are paid by the road fund right now. the road fund's gone, how are we going to pay 40% of your wages? County council, we pay 40% of your wages too. And, Brad, yours, finance, HR, IT, right, six major departments, and this road fund is paying $600,000 into these 6 departments. Basically 40% of their budgets is dependent on this road fund. So in 4 years, barring any emergencies or disasters, if we stay on the current path we're on, the way I see it, we're done. And there's no reserves left. And to count on that we're going to keep getting bailed out with SRS funds or different funds.
SRS is gone.
Those funds, we can't count on that. And so to keep counting on that and kicking the can down the road is imprudent.
So, Roadmaster Christian, you asked about a plan. Excuse me, did you have anything, Commissioner Pash?
I do, but I'm going to hold my thoughts for right now.
You asked about a plan. I have a 10-year plan, so in a very general sense, if the board would agree to support and work for the best possible Curry County public safety, that's our number one. You heard me say in past meetings that public health is nudging up against public safety as a second priority. Just my opinion. Raising property taxes is not the answer, and I don't think will be for many years, if ever. The goal is to find additional resources, revenue, and possibly combine county, city departments to operate in the most secure, safe, and efficient way possible. We have 4 different law enforcement agencies in Curry County. 40 officers, give or take, with cars and possibly double that number in administration and support staff. All that needs to be verified. Question, is that the most cost-effective, best protection for our 23,000 citizens? And then when we have visitor season, of course, I don't know if it's the most effective way, most efficient way. I do believe there are many ways to save valuable tax dollars that perhaps have not yet been considered. Maybe we have to consider council of governments, bring this county together any and every possible way we can. Sheriff Ward, I recognize that you're here, and I'm going to have a call out to you that I think that is timely and important, and hope you'll agree. It is important for the public to see and be assured that the Sheriff's Office is open and dedicated to working with other public safety agencies, city police departments and fire departments, as efficiently as possible. Now, I remember during the Chetco Bar fire, how impressed I was that everybody was working so closely together on that. But is that the exception to the rule, or is it the general rule? I believe it is possible to have 24/7 coverage can be achieved in Curry County. Note that many of our rural counties do not have 24/7 coverage. However, we need to be proactive and take that responsibility on our own. Fix it ourselves. This year will again require the use of county road funds to balance the budget. But I will be coming back on the 16th, as I know we have, as I said, to outsource, consolidate, reorganize first. There isn't any other option. If there is, I'd sure like to hear it, and I haven't heard it in 4.5 years. That's all I have for right now.
I'm sorry. I have a couple suggestions, and so I like following success, and I researched a little bit into Josephine County and what they did, and were able to get a 5-year bond passed, and they cut back to what they could do, and they cut back services, and when the citizens of Josephine County felt the pain, they passed that measure and funded the sheriff's department and the jail. City of Brookings, we did a gas tax measure, to pay for our roads at City of Brookings at the time. And we did videos. We hired, it was Candace Michaels Michelle, and did these videos, and we did a really public campaign. And I understand there's millions of dollars of property that's not properly taxed right now. There's all kinds of development out in the hills that they're not paying their fair share. We need all those revenues that are sitting out there, they need to be captured. I think that's number one. That's something that those taxes is something we can do without passing any rules or laws. I think if the citizens saw that we were exhausting everything that we could possibly do, that we were we're actually working within our budgets, and they would understand where we're at. And so, but until we start working within our budgets and using the road fund, not for its intended purpose, and keep patching it till the day we run out of money, then it's too late. You know, then we can never do any master plan projects. We can never leverage any money to take care of the things we need to take care of. So the power of the road fund will be gone. And so...
Yeah, we agree. We agree. Commissioner Pash?
I don't have anything.
Okay. So the question is, will we be right back here next year? How do we avoid that? So we got 12 months to fix this. And I hear you loud and clear. I hear the citizens loud and clear. I hear the absolute desire we have we mutually have to have the best possible law enforcement in this county. I don't think anybody disagrees with that. So I'm going to be asking commissioners to consider convening a public safety work group with all the law enforcement people in this county, and that means OSP, that means fire, Coos Forest Patrol, everyone. It's my opinion this is the only way, the long term, to develop that 10-year plan, and I think that's what we've got to get on immediately. You spoke very well to that on May 12th.
Thank you.
At our second day budget committee meeting. So did you have anything else?
I think we can do it. I think if, you know, we get all the elected officials together on the same page, unified, and all the department heads, that we could come up with a plan and that we could express it effectively to the community, and I think we could get some help. I think people would understand. But they need to be able to trust us first, that we're all working together and we have a plan. Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, just to thank you, Roadmaster Christian, just a side note, the fuel cost alone for the Sheriff's Department, the Road Department, with what we're experiencing right now.
It's right at $200,000 a year just for the fuel.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
$200,000 a year just for fuel. It's about $100,000 each for Sheriff Department, and also for the general fund vehicles, and also for the Road Department vehicles and equipment.
But when I checked with you a couple of years ago, I think it was only about $170,000 for the fuel. So
Yeah,
it had already gone up that much.
It's in the mid 90s to mid to high 90s right now for both departments.
Makes sense. Absolutely makes sense.
Thank you.
So, Board, I'm going to also ask for Director Rickert and his staff to have a full COVID reimbursement report by the 16th. If the Board agrees that we're going to postpone today's decision for a week, I don't have enough information to go on. Please provide full clarification on the $2.55 million to $2.82 million, why we went up $300,000. And so I'm looking, Board, for agreement and consensus that we're not going to pass this budget as is today. So, Commissioner Pash?
Well, I think that it went to $2.8 million during our budget meetings. We knew that while the budget meeting committee was still meeting. For me, it's hard to see some of the problems we have here, and this has been our budget was dealt with over a month ago, and this could have and should have been talked about in prior meetings. If you were in disagreement with the budget committee, why weren't all these things brought up in front of the budget committee to address in front of the group of professionals that were put in place to discuss and arrive at a budget, rather than when the chair of the budget committee said on each item, do we agree on this budget? And we agreed. I don't know why, weeks after the budget committee has completed its hearings and agreed on the budget, as we all did, now weeks later, we are coming to having questions about the budget and how money is spent. It's hard for me to sit here and say that we should relook at all this and the shortfalls that we have, and how important it is for our citizens to trust us. Yet the budget committee, because of recommendations, you gave two elected officials a 13 and a 14% raise, elected officials. So how do I go out and tell the taxpayer, we need your money to pay the shortfalls of the county, but yeah, we got officials here that are elected that need raises too. We've also got some of our department, I think one department for sure that I feel is poorly managed. And that is costing this county millions of dollars a year in revenue in the bottom line. That's a conversation for another day, and that's a conversation in planning for next year's budget. But how can we as a board sit here and say we now want to relook at and readdress situations in our budget when the committee that was put in place to decide the budget for this county sat, and we all sat with them and agreed to the budget. Now we want to make changes to it. And I just find that is hard to explain to our taxpayers. One more thought, all of the special districts in this county got a 3% raise this year. That's a substantial amount of money. And until we can, as a county and elected officials, along with department heads and managers, get together at a table and talk, and I agree with you, Commissioner Boyce, combine some city services with our counties and work together, we will never fix the budget issues in this county. The good old days here are gone, and we're going to have to roll up our sleeves and fight for every dime. But it's hard for me as a commissioner to say, let's sit down and fight, because we want to help the taxpayers to get the bang for their buck. But we've got shortfalls, and one of the biggest black eyes is we're giving elected officials 13 and a 14% raise, and then we've got a shortfall to our road department. And I also want to comment, and Roadmaster Christensen knows very well, we've had long meetings. I respect you and I appreciate everything you do for this county. And we had a long conversation about that yesterday. I know you say there's $7 and $8 million a year that are going to be gone from the road fund, but we also know that there are agencies that pay back into that money, so it has never been that. When I came into office, I believe the road fund had about $27 million in it. Now, a couple of years later, it's got almost $30 million in it. So, and I will say also that's because of the careful spending of our roadmaster. He does a great job. But what I want to say is that we were told 2 years ago that there was going to be a huge chunk come out of the road fund because we had to pay for some things. And at the end of the year, last year, we had a balanced budget with no road fund dollars spent. Because of COVID, now we've had some shortages, and I believe this year is somewhat an anomaly. If it's to continue, absolutely, we need to start making cuts. But I think to make cuts now is premature. Dealing with what we're dealing with, and I would like to see this budget get adopted as the Budget Committee has suggested and we all agreed and voted on. And if you're going to make some serious changes, we've got the next 11 months to get that done. That's all I have, sir.
Commissioner Pash, or excuse me, Commissioner Herzog.
What? Brad's in front of me.
Go ahead.
So I want to first start off by clarifying those deficit numbers. When the proposed budget was first brought before the Budget Committee, it was at $2.5 million. As the departments came in, presented their budgets, made changes that way, it did increase to 2.8. And then through the Budget Committee process, we cut that by just over $600,000 to 2.2. That was all stated during the Budget Committee. That shouldn't have been a surprise to anybody. So it is sitting at $2.2 million drawing from the road funds right now. I also want to say that as we convened several weeks ago for the Budget Committee, again, I want to emphasize that we've cut $600,000 from that budget, and that was really the time to bring forth any other ideas on how to cut expenditures, how to draw less from the road funds. Right now, we are partway through June. We would be scrambling to get hearings noticed in a timely and lawful manner. I guess I look at it and say we already cut $600,000 from the budget. How much more do we expect to cut? I can't see that we would be able to cut a significant amount to be able to reduce that $2.2 million. We could get it down to $2 million. We could cut the other two deputies in the sheriff's office. That would get us down there. I don't think we want to do that. The budget committee, all 6 members of the budget committee approved the budget to go before the hearing today, if we go before the commissioners today. So I agree with Commissioner Pash when he said that time is kind of come and gone for any kind of changes. That should have been done weeks ago. And then after I made all those changes, I sent the new budget out to each of the budget committee members. I haven't heard anything from anybody about possible other changes until today, so that's a little surprising. But again, that time has kind of come and gone. We have this budget isn't going to be fixed by cutting. It's only going to be fixed by looking at additional revenue sources, and that's the good thing about a budget. It's an estimated estimation of your revenues, your expenditures, and it can change depending on what this board decides to do over the next 12 months to increase our revenue streams, find new sources, whatever it is. We can cut that $2.2 million down to who knows, but it's really these next 12 months that could affect that $2.2 million draw from the road fund more than the next week, and trying to make cuts.
Thank you, Mr. Rickert. I'm going to respond, if I may, first to Mr. Pash, Commissioner Pash, that we fought for every penny during the 2 or 3 days of Budget Committee. I find that absolutely shocking that we fought. Not only is the $600,000 really invalid, and I just heard Mr. Rickert mention 2.2 million, where it was 2.5. I don't remember ever hearing 2.8 until I got it in a written document about 5 business days ago. I am shocked to hear that you cannot balance a budget by cutting. And I'm thinking, what would I do if this is my kids, my grandkids? And I'm saying, you just spent more than you got. And your money coming in, you're not working enough hours. You don't have enough resources. And you're going to keep spending, and you're going to hope that the revenues come in. And you're going to go over a 4-year period and say, well, we had a chance to do something about revenue. We didn't do it. You always hear the term kick the can down the road. That's exactly what we're doing here. I, in the Budget Committee, made it very clear that I was not satisfied with the cuts, and I wanted to get to the very least $1.5 million. And instead, we end up at 2.8 again.
2.2.
Okay, where's the 2.8 figure come from then? I mean,
well, again.
So I'm going to finish. Thank you. I respected the Budget Committee. I worked hard. And I'm sitting here after 4.5 years, and I'm seeing us do the exact same thing 5 budget seasons in a row. As far as the elected officials getting a pay raise, that is such a pittance to what has been squandered by this county the last 5 years. And I can prove it, because I fought it and fought it. And if anybody wants to do an honest audit, I'd love to be proved wrong, so we don't keep making the same mistakes. So we have 30-year elected officials, and we have a political difference with them, so we're going to say, no pay raise for you, even though you've been underpaid compared to comparable counties for many, many years. That's how we do it in Curry County, and it's got to change. That's my honest opinion. Mr. Rickert, go ahead, please.
I was just, you asked a question, so I was just clarifying that. I don't even remember what the question was now. I think it had to do about the 2.8 versus 2.2. Yeah, the 2.5 to 2.8, that was all laid out there during the Budget Committee. wasn't hidden in any way. 2.2 now, again, with the revised budget that I sent out after the budget committee, where it cut $600,000, which is really a significant amount and a very real amount. It is down to 2.2.
3.2, excuse me.
2.2 million.
Okay, thank you.
Road reserve.
To clarify, from the road reserve, right. To clarify about, you can't balance budget by cutting. You have to look at what we're cutting. We're cutting services to county citizens. You know, like I said, we're going to cut 2 employees out of the sheriff's budget. Those are services to employees. We're going to cut a department out. Those are services to citizens. Again, the time for all of this was during the budget committee meetings, and then as I sent out the new budget, which was several weeks ago, that would have also been a time to make additional cuts. Right now, we're in such a time crunch to get this adopted by the deadlines that we really need to look at things going forward and focus on those revenues starting now and over the next 12 months to cut into that $2.2 million instead of focusing on cutting departments, cutting staff, cutting services to the public, cutting staff or cutting departmental expenses when we're departments are already stressed in that area, in those areas.
Go ahead, Commissioner Pash.
Well, if you recall, during the budget process, the budget did grow to a deficit of $2.8 million because, as Mr. Director Rickard and I have explained earlier, it was the process of as each department brought their budgets, it ballooned to $2.8 million. And then at the end, we've figured out as a committee to reduce it to 2.2. We cut $600,000 out of the budget. I just want to bring it to the chair's attention. We're 10 minutes over on this meeting, and I have a state official that's going to be waiting to speak to us between 10 and 10:30. So just for a procedural timeline, you may want to continue this for later. We've also got a lot of people here, I'm guessing, for the public here for the public meeting, our normal meeting. But with that being said, I just again I ask this board to adopt the budget. Any changes that wanted to be made to this budget should have been done during the budget committee session and or immediately thereafter, and now we are up against the time crunch. It would be almost impossible to move forward and have more meetings and postings and get a budget in place in the next couple of weeks.
So we have 21 days. That's 5 times I've heard it's a time issue. We're going to be rushed on this. I'm looking for...
Where was it for the last 6 weeks?
The last 6 weeks. Okay, you can make it about me. I'd prefer you didn't do that.
I'm not saying you. I'm
okay.
saying where was the complaints in the last 6 weeks?
Okay, but we are not up against the time crunch. The 16th even then gives us 14 additional days to get this done by June 30th. I'm not bound as commissioners. We're not bound by the budget committee. That is a recommendation. We're here every day studying this, trying to figure out the best possible thing to do. To hear that our departments are understaffed, we need to hire more people, that's even stunning to me. Now, there are some exceptions. I think with the road department, sheriff's departments, probably other couple smaller ones. But I'm not going to be rushed in, and just this discussion validates, I believe, that we need to postpone this at least 1 week. So I'm looking for a motion on that.
Excuse me, can I have just a few minutes?
Yes. Go ahead, Sheriff Ward. Thank you.
You know, I started watching this over on the internet when the start of this meeting, and I was fully expecting you guys to come in and approve the budget like you guys approved in the budget committee. I don't tell people how to do their jobs or how to run their business, but the thing is, I'm getting a little upset that other elected, or not elected officials, but other department heads are coming in here and talking about the sheriff's office when they have no clue what they're talking about. Rich took 25 minutes of our budget time that time when it was our budget presentation. He came in here all upset about this thing. He's written letters about it, and he comes back in today. He tells me I'm you know, trying to do a dream team. Well,
Sheriff Ward, if I may,
Hold on.
No, just if I may, I'm sorry. We all respect you and his opinion. So please state something other than against or for another department head, okay?
What I'm saying is, we have used a very little bit of road funds over the years, okay? We may get approved for the budget, but we don't get that money in advance. You know, you guys got to remember that. We get it if we spend it. It's going to take you approve 2 more positions for us, okay? I don't know that I'm going to be able to hire those. I'm losing another deputy as probably this week because of what's going on in the world in law enforcement. So I'm going to be 3 positions down. With plus those 2, how am I supposed to hire those if I can't even recruit or can't retain people because of what's going on? What's going on in this county? You say we have a 2.2 deficit. We're not going to have a 2.2 deficit. I've been hearing that for 30 years. Road funds are going to be gone. I've never asked you, hey, I want those road funds. I just said, I want these positions. This is what I need to do my job as a sheriff. I'm in charge of entire public safety for the entire county. And I can't do my job if I keep getting cut and cut. The last few years, we've been able to do some tremendous things with support from the commissioners. I can't go backwards. It's ridiculous, especially what's going on in the county or in the nation. I'm just saying, I don't tell anybody else how to do their job. Don't come in here and tell me how run numbers, or we're going to lose 60% or things like that. It's not correct. You guys approved it. The budget committee came in and approved it. Just because we asked for it doesn't mean we're going to be able to spend it. And I doubt we will. So there's not going to be that deficit. I'd suggest you approve the budget and let's get on about our business. Thank you.
Commissioners, if we got down to $1.5 million from the 2.2, would that give you any additional security or confidence we're headed in the right direction if we can't implement a new or new sources of revenue? Would we get down to the 1.5? And what would be the difference next year? So I need answers to those 2 questions. If I could get help on that, much appreciated. Commissioner Pash?
Well, again, if we wanted to do that, we should have sat with the budget committee.
Okay.
Are you going to interrupt me again, please? If you wanted to do that, Commissioner, we should have sat for another 10 hours or 20 hours or 30 hours with the budget committee and ground those numbers out. We sat for the allotted time until everyone said, I agree. If you want to do those kind of cuts, you do that with your budget committee. That's what we put it in place for. That's what the citizens expect of the budget committee. When the chair said, do you agree with the budget? We voted yes. 1.5 right now isn't going to make a difference. I've heard you talk a couple of times, Chair Boyce, about a prepared foods tax or something like that. I'd love, and I told you the last time you brought it up, I would support that. Do the work on it and bring it to the board, and there's a possible revenue source for the county. You asked everyone else to do the work. I say it's your idea. Do the work. Evidently, you have it in your head on how to do it. Do the work and bring it to the board, and that's something that we could reduce the deficit for next year. Again, our sheriff asked for some deputies the first year I was in office. He asked for some extra money. The board gave it to him. The next year, we came into the budget, and he didn't use the money because he didn't hire the people that he needed, that he thought he could hire. He never used the money. So, yeah, do we look like we're going to have a $2.2 million deficit? Yes, it looks that way, but I don't believe that we will. I agree with the sheriff on that because, as he's just stated, he's already 3 deputies down, so he'd need to hire 5 deputies right now. And that $2.2 million isn't only the sheriff's department. It's a lot of the departments in the county. What was done was a lot of departments are short, and it was lumped into the sheriff's department as the $2.2 million. So I would again, we are we are up against a time crunch on this, and if these are things that we want to look at, we should have done it during the budget committee hearings, and I suggest this board approve the budget, and let's do this work for next year's budget. And that's all I have, sir.
So, Prairie citizens, go back and look at the meetings. Time and time again, I said, we're not cutting enough, not near enough. I respect tremendously the presentation that Roadmaster Christensen made that day. It was incredibly compelling, but it only solidified, reinforced the feelings I've had for the 5 years I've been here. Anybody that wants to make the case that Curry County is well managed and the spending here is to the penny, it's just absolutely false. Now, there are some departments, there are some people that go above and beyond. But we're sitting here with a 2.2 or whatever it is, and it's unacceptable. And we cannot keep doing this. As far as the sales tax, yeah, you wanted me to do it. I begged for help. My head was handed to me, basically. You haven't done anything on it. And I submitted to the Economic Development 26 different documents, or at least 22, I think it was, the work that I've done, that previous commissioners did. That was quite notable. 4 times I tried, 4 times I couldn't get anybody to say, yeah, let's get a committee, let's go on this, let's see if it is valid, let's see if it's ridiculous, let's see if the citizens might actually want to review this and someday pass it, or half the money's based on tourism. 1.5%, 2%, whatever you want to do. So yeah, I put myself out there, and here I am. Go ahead, Commissioner Herzog. I'm done. Thank you.
Well, I don't mean to interrupt,
okay.
but
I was talking enough.
I just want to apologize that I don't think I can approve this budget either. I have had Roadmaster in my office for 2 days, and I remember the time when you could not you couldn't take money from the road fund unless you paid it back. And that went for a few years, and then now we can take money from the road fund. What I don't want to do is kick this can down the road, and in 4 years, 5 years, 6 years even, there is nothing. So my apology is that I know there's a time crunch, but we have till July 1st. We can. I don't mind even pulling back the budget committee. Pull those 3 guys back in here, see if they'll come back, and let's sharpen the pencil. But I'm not going to vote to approve this budget as is today. And I know there's been a time lapse, and I'm sorry, but that's my thoughts on this.
I don't think you have to be sorry. That's what we're here for, is to make the really tough calls. And we have not done that the first 4 years. I think the evidence is absolutely overwhelming, and here we are with hard feelings. Could have been avoided. Director Rickert?
I just want to go over some of the cuts that we did make. We cut.
Why don't we do this first if you want to get down to details, which is fine.
Oh, it'll take
Captain
20
McDonald?
seconds.
Hi, I'm Captain McDonald with the Curry County Sheriff's Office. I just want to point something out. We went through a whole budget process. At no time was there a budget message from this Board of Commissioners that said, all county departments, you need to cut from your budget. That message was never given out. We sat through our budget hearings. And we did. We cut $600,000 out of the Sheriff's Office budget, which was we cut 2 of the 4 new positions that we asked for. The county commissioners said, great, that's good, we're good to go. Now you're coming back with no thought to the budget committee or the budget process, saying we're just going to, you guys are going to get a pencil out and slash budgets. I don't know what budgets you're thinking about, but
we got a week to show you.
So you're basically saying we don't care about the budget process. As the Board of Commissioners, we can, and you can by law, make changes to the budget. You can do that, but you're going to throw out the whole process, and I've been in budgets for years, not just in this county, but in other counties. I have never seen anything like this. We had a budget, the county adopted the budget or approved the budget. Now when it comes time to adoption, all of a sudden we're gonna throw all that work out the window and we're gonna start all over again. And all's the other part that alls I hear is the sheriff's office is taking money from the road fund. Well, I'll tell you what, the sheriff's office has not asked for a single dollar from the road fund. The sheriff's office is a general fund. Whether you move us into another fund or not, it's a general fund obligation to the county. Now, it just so happens that the state legislature passed a law that says you can use road funds to support and to fund the patrol functions of the sheriff's office and its auxiliary or whatever the correct English word is, functions of patrol. All right. So the days of you can't use those funds, I'm sorry, are gone. The state legislation said you can use those funds. The county refused to do it for a number of years and was going to cut law enforcement down to nothing and then say we're in a law enforcement emergency and we want the state to come do something. The county looked at that at one point. The governor wrote, this board, not this board, but the governor wrote a letter to the County Board of Commissioners saying, you have these funds that you can use for law enforcement. I suggest you use them as we allowed you to do so. Do I think that we need to come up with some permanent funding situations? Yes, I do. But that's all of us working together. I've heard, well, the sheriff didn't bring this forward. Well, the sheriff can't put something on the ballot measure, or the sheriff can't authorize it to be on a ballot measure. The Board of Commissioners can. All right. The last time we tried that, we did not have the support of the Board of Commissioners and it didn't pass. All right. This is something that we all need to work on, but trying to slash services at the final minute doesn't do it. So thank you for your time.
Thank you for your opinion, but I want you to know I take offense that you said, quote, if I understood correctly, that we don't care about the budget process.
Well, it appears you're throwing it out the window, the whole work of the budget committee.
Because we have a $2.2 million
That's
potential.
right.
Potential, is that the right word?
It's
Potential
not a
deficit. We're going to spend money we don't have, and we've done that how many years now?
We have the money.
We have the money,
Right?
okay.
The money is there, all right? We're not in a deficit. You're spending money that someone else doesn't want you to spend. When you can legally spend it, you're saying, we don't want to spend it on that. Yes, a roadmaster 30 years ago took a whole bunch of money and stuck it away. Great, thank you. Let's fix the issue. That's what needs to happen, but the money can legally be spent for what you're trying to spend it for. It's an authorized use for the money. Yes, it comes from the road reserve. Again, so does the dump trucks and the excavators and all the other new equipment that the road department buys. It comes from the road reserve. It's a legitimate legal expense from the road reserve. The same thing as what you're asking for over here. All right? It's a
Captain, we're
legitimate
taking-
legal expense.
If I may, thank you. We're taking money we don't intend to pay back and can't pay back. I understand the state program.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is, what are we going to do 3 or 4 years from now?
That's what you guys need to fix.
I asked you about the consumption tax, and I got a yawn. Everybody in the sheriff's department. Everybody's
What can
giving
we
me a
do
yawn.
about it? You're the one that has the ability to do something with a consumption tax. The
Can't do
sheriff's
anything
office
without
does
support,
not.
sir. Can't
we
do
would
anything without support.
Bring it forward. We will support it.
Oh, I did. I couldn't even get a glance. Okay, so
thank
I'm
you
ready
very
for a
much
motion.
for your
It's-
time.
thank
Phil, before you leave,
Yes.
I think when my little diatribe, I said let's pull those 3 guys back in here. I'm not saying we want to do it by ourselves. We spent one whole day a week or 2 ago. We could spend another day between now and the 1st of July, and so you just said the 3 of us are gonna. And I take offense to that. We're not. I don't want to. I want to bring those 3 guys back in
I want
here
to solve the problem.
and say, it's just not setting right. And blame it on the new guy. I could give a rip.
I'm not blaming it on the new guy. When you asked us to cut, we cut. Okay? You approved it, and now all of a sudden it's coming back and it's not, and it's saying we don't want to do this. All right? you make it, and everybody makes it sound as if it's the sheriff asking for the money.
No.
Not saying
It's
no.
the whole county, but
It's the whole.
but
It's
the
all
whole
of
thing.
us. We got to
But-
get rid of that.
Right.
Us
But
against
you
them.
you can, like I'm saying, you can legally use this money. You can legally spend it. It is a legal way. It's not stealing. All right. It's the county's money. It's not. I'm sorry.
It's been said so many times.
whole-
We understand. Commissioner Pash, please.
The whole thing is, this should have been done when we had the budget committee here. If there was a disagreement, if you had these feelings about being $2.2 million short, we got to get that to $1.5 million, then that should have been done during the budget committee process. To try and ask these, I can't imagine asking for someone to be here next year for our budget committee hearings, and they say, well, what do you want us to come for if you're just going to blow up the budget anyway? This should have been dealt with at the budget committee hearings. That's the protocol of those committee hearings, not weeks later for us. If something happens in the county that we need to make a change, that I could see. But this is something that we want to put the budget committee back together now and talk again about this. This should have been dealt with then as responsible elected officials. It should have been talked about and had a conclusion then, not talking about it weeks later, bringing it back up with all kinds of excuses and how, you know, everybody worked so hard to do something and it didn't get done. It should have got done then.
Well, we're bound by our conscience and good business principles, and that's why I think we need a break. A week is a good time. Your recommendation, consider bringing the budget committee back, I think is excellent. I don't know if we need to do that. I would not oppose that. I don't want to have any more figures.
Well-
You're going to get your chance either later today if we don't pass this, or we're going to get it done on the 16th.
I do have a couple other things to say.
Did you have anything else?
No.
Okay, go ahead, Director Rickard, please.
We do have to reconvene the budget committee to do this.
No, we don't. No, we don't. Is that, do you have something else, though, as far as calculations or figures?
He's the commandant, so he can do it whatever he wants, I guess.
Commissioner Pash?
I believe.
I'm going to
I
ask
believe that
you
is the
to
right
stay with us
thing
on
to-
this. This is a very, very critical time.
Oh, I'm staying with you. I
Yeah.
disagree with you 100%.
Yeah, but you just had an unfortunate.
No, that wasn't
unnecessary
unfortunate.
remark.
That was intended.
Commandant? Okay, yeah, I understand.
Well,
Go
you-
ahead, Mr. Rickard.
By law, we do have to reconvene the budget committee. They have to approve the budget to go before this committee here.
Yes.
My point is simply, how much
Excuse
more
me
are we
one
going to be able
second,
to cut
Councilman
into that 2.2 million?
So
Is that
this
accurate?
is a bit of an unusual situation, and I can't say for 100% certainty, but I know that you guys can trim some small portions of the budget, but I believe any major changes, everybody has to get back together for the budget committee.
Absolutely.
So, the 4 years I've been here, the commissioners didn't need the budget committee to come back to approve the budget. And they could make changes. And we can make changes any time during any given period of time. We can make changes.
You can do supplemental budgets. You can make small changes to the budget. You cannot make major cuts like you're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars without having the budget committee convened. You cannot do it.
Yeah, we need to get to $1.5 million, in my opinion. So, Director Rickard, did you have something else to add?
Yeah, again, I mean, we cut 2.2 from salaries. We cut 200,000, over 200,000 from vehicles. We added $770,000 to the assessor's office. We cut 88,000 from building material repair and maintenance. What significant changes are we going to make on this 2.2 million from cuts?
Well, I got
I don't
one.
see
If
how
we
we're going to
approve
be
this,
able to
you
do
asked me
that.
a question.
It really needs. It was rhetorical. It was really. It's got to be fixed by revenue, which we can't do in a week's time. It has to be done, as the budget committee chair pointed out, it should have been done 5 years ago. So we're going to have to work on this over the next year. And again, the board approves any large expenditures. Just because it's approved in the budget doesn't mean it's approved to be spent.
So I'm
The
looking for a
budget
motion
committee will have to
bring the budget committee back.
Let him finish. Let him finish.
Budget committee will have to.
We're up against the clock here.
The budget committee will get that chance to. I'm sorry, not the budget committee. The commissioners, you guys, will get that chance to approve and disapprove any kind of large expenditures, thus helping to control that $2.2 million. And again, we have open positions. That's going to help reduce that too. I suggest that you guys make that motion to approve the budget and fix this going forward, because it's not going to be fixed by cutting expenses. It's going to be fixed by increasing revenues.
That's rolling the dice. Did you have something else?
Nope.
We keep rolling the dice. Maybe that's a better term than kicking the can down the road. I think we discussed this enough, so I'm looking for a motion.
Chair, I have a comment.
Certainly.
Making a determination every single fiscal year to work on this for the next year is the message we receive every single year. And it's not changing. And then what we're doing that is absolutely unnecessary is pitting departments against each other to the point where it's having some critical health fallout issues with some employees. You know, it's the three of you are responsible to work together to make sure that this county has enough revenue to run off of. It is absolutely unacceptable that every single year these departments fear we can't get people to work here because every year they're afraid that they're going to lose their jobs.
I'm sorry, we've already heard this.
No, you have not heard this from me.
I have.
And I'm not done, Commissioner.
Well, that's okay.
You also kind of threw me under the bus in saying that you had given me the sales tax information and it kind of dropped there. I was never tasked with that. I offered, if I may, I offered to collect the information and put it in the S drive just as I did.
That was a response, ma'am, to Treasurer Barnes saying that I didn't do anything except just put a ridiculous plan out there.
The other point that I'd like to
That's why you have
make-
that, and you recommended that I look for it on the S drive. I did not mean to imply that you didn't.
The other
and
point
weren't
that I would like to
available.
make.
Please let me finish.
You didn't let me
I'm
finish.
not trying to
And don't
imply.
threaten me with my job because I'm not agreeing with you here.
We're going to have to take a 5-minute
No, we're
recess.
not. I'm going to
No.
finish what I have to say. We will not gain the respect of the cities, and they will not work with us and collaborate if we continue to dysfunction like this.
I'll be back in 5 minutes. Sorry, whatever I might contribute.
Absolutely unacceptable. The citizens really don't understand what's going on here. Until we fund the general fund and sustain that through the revenue sources we have available through this county, it is absolutely unacceptable to raise taxes and to ask the citizens of this county to budget spending more on top of what we're already seeing with the price in goods and services. And every year, you know, this is something we need to work on this next year and this next year. I've been here long enough to see it doesn't change. And I'm done. And I'm not worried about my job because I've got another one lined up. Summer Madison, Curry County Economic Development.
May I?
Sure.
The Citizens Revenue Tax Force that was
John.
started a few years ago, a bunch of citizens got together and they put in hundreds of hours of work to get some funding. They did get the county TLT put on the ballot. Well, I mean, they got it together. The commissioners did approve to put it on the ballot because only the commissioners can do that. And it was approved, and we have been getting that money. Then that group, that citizens group that put in hundreds of hours was disbanded. They had already developed the proposed tax on prepared foods. They had worked through that, and they were disbanded. And so now, when we have members of the commissioners saying that we need to do this, that was done, and it was not able to be allowed to finish. So it's like to hear a commissioner, the chair, say that we need to do this, we need to do that, nobody will help me do this. Why would anybody want to spend 200 hours to do something that's going to be thrown out the window so that somebody else can get credit for it later? But nobody's going to want to do that, whether they're staff, whether they're citizens, whether they're prospective members of the budget committee. You think citizens who watch this are going to want to be on any board that does this kind of thing, and I've been coming to meetings for a few years now. I took a long break because I couldn't take it anymore, but the citizens do see what's going on, even if they're not always involved here. And so I just had to get that out. And I appreciate all the good work that people have done. I appreciate the Sheriff's Department. I appreciate the commissioners. And it's not that I disagree with everything that every commissioner does or disagree. You guys know that I'm very vocal about what I agree with and what I don't agree with. But you need to realize that when you're shooting people in the foot, whether they're staff, whether they're prospective boards, whether they're citizens, whatever, then you're going to have no one who wants to spend their time doing this kind of thing. So just as a warning that what you do and say affects everybody in the county, and you're not going to get volunteers to do anything if you disrespect them the way that the citizens have been disrespected.
Nobody's going to welcome me back. I've heard how incredibly tough employees have it here. 4 years. I did everything I could. So, improve the working conditions here. You said threaten somebody for their job. I can't listen to that. It's absolutely invalid, ridiculous. We have to make some cuts. We have to make some reorganizations. There's no other options. People, no other options. So, Commissioner Herzog, if you feel like we need to call the Budget Committee back, as I said, I wouldn't be opposed to that. It's just part of the hard work that we are responsible to do.
Remind you need your
doesn't
microphone.
Need to be Wednesday the 16th.
Microphone.
That seems to be as good a day as any.
I'll have to check my calendar. I'm not sure I'm available. I mean, this is something that you're bringing up that I wasn't planning on in a scheduled meeting.
We also need to check the schedule of the budget committee members, and I would rather do it sooner than later, as soon as possible, Monday, because we are.
I know I'm not here Monday.
Tuesday.
Well, you're gonna have to call in on whatever day we do that you're not here. It's that important. So
It should have been done weeks ago when we had the budget committee here.
I'm
sir.
sorry, Commissioner, you've said that 7 times now. It was done, and I expressed, communicated the seriousness of the 2.2 million, again, whatever it is, that we're not making enough cuts.
And
Anybody that can miss that, I'm just
Okay,
stunned. So
that's another pat on
let's
your
don't
back.
have a
but-
debate
but
between.
let's-
I just
let's say
responded
this.
to you.
Let's say this: when the budget committee said, "Do you accept the budget?" Why do you say no? We can't leave yet until we get this down to this. Instead, you said, "Yes, I approve the budget." Your vote was yes.
I've got more and more information to properly assess my decision and recommendation to this board and fight for the better of the citizens. Okay, so do we
Until
have
personal
we're gonna
relationships
need,
stop affecting our county government, this county will never get together and work together to improve the county.
personal relationship.
Yes.
I'm going to ignore that comment because
Okay.
I don't know what you're talking
It's the
about.
truth, sir.
But you can say anything, everything you want to say. Do you want to stay in here, Miss Rose? You're showing disrespect. I'd appreciate if you would remain professional and calm. Thank you very much. Commissioner Herzog, do we have a motion or no?
I would just like to table this and talk about it. Let's move on with the other part of the meeting, and we can bring this back up. And
The hearing is kind of specific for this budget hearing. We're not really in our general meeting.
Yes.
So it'd probably be better if we, wrapped up the hearing and can't really push it down the road like that.
Okay.
So I'm going to make a motion.
We're on today.
It'd just be better if we just.
Okay, just did it.
The hearings have to be noticed.
Okay.
What is it? 2 weeks out.
And that's why we don't have time to do this again, because then you have to renotice hearings.
We got a week. There's nothing improper or ill-advised or illegal about that, for gosh sakes. This is what we're here for.
So
We're
is
supposed to
there
be
a
here
motion?
every single day. So I'm going to make, excuse me, Council Pope.
I was just say, I think the best way to wrap this up is, we do have on the public hearing to vote on the resolution to adopt the Curry County budget. I think we should vote on that. If the vote is no, then it would kind of remand it, to the further proceedings. So I don't think we need a new motion with, about when we're going to reconvene. We just kind of need a yes or no vote on that. If it's a no vote, we'll move on the process.
So I make a motion, we
Pope.
adopt the budget.
Hang on one second. Council Pope, the only reason I disagree with that is because then we do have to have 3 separate votes. If we table this and set a date, which we can responsibly and legally do, then we only have to make 1 vote. So I'm going to make a motion.
Is that true?
Yep,
My
excuse me.
recommendation is what it is, but obviously he's the chair of the board, so.
So repeat it so I don't make sure I didn't misunderstand.
I just think the best way for us to move forward is, since we did call the public hearing to make these votes, that we at least make the first vote. And if the budget is not approved by the board, then it needs to, move on the process, and it kind of does everything you're trying to do in those other motions.
You're pretty persuasive. Okay. So I'm looking for a motion on,
I make a motion, we adopt the Curry County budget. Ask for a second.
You can ask for a second and then vote no, but, to make the procedure move forward, this is.
Okay. I'll second that.
I hope there's
Didn't
no
it
further
just
discussion.
Die for lack of second, or?
No, that's a second, sir.
Did you second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Okay.
And
Any further discussion? Call for the question?
Commissioner Pat?
No, we're done with public comment, but you're going to get another chance, I hope, on the 16th.
Aye.
Vice Chair Herzog?
No.
Chair Boyce?
No.
Motion does not carry.
So can we set a date so that we know tentative or conditions on the availability of the Budget Committee members, at least 2 of them?
I have a question also, if I could.
Okay.
Council, what if our Budget Committee says, you know what, you want to just disregard our recommendations and what the Budget Committee came before this board to do? We're not going to return. Then where are we? We form a whole new Budget Committee?
I'd have to look into that. I don't know the answer. Like I said, this
You
is
would,
all.
please, sir.
That's an unnecessary hypothetical, in my respectful opinion. I think that if we ask them and they understand what we're up against here, I think they'll show up. I think they'll do their best. So could we set a date, tentative, commissioners?
If I could get at least some dates all 3 of you are available, so I can offer them as suggestions to the Budget Committee.
Well, is there anything wrong with the 16th?
Not inherently, no.
Okay, thank you.
But I don't know their schedules. What
Well,
about
I'm
the
going to call them
15th?
myself too and make sure. Thank you.
I'm actually
We can do
available
all
on
that.
the 15th and the 16th.
I say sooner than later, 15th.
You're unavailable Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Commissioner?
Tuesday's the 15th.
Tuesday's the 15th. I
Okay.
just said I'm available the 15th
Oh,
and the 16th.
I'm sorry. I thought you said you're unavailable. Okay,
What about the 17th? Can everyone do it on the 17th?
I can.
Okay.
Hold on a minute. Let me see here. I can in the morning.
So anything else before this board? So on the tentative date of the 16th, the public hearing will be for a resolution to adopt Curry County budget with amendments,
This
I'm
will
assuming?
not be a hearing, no. This will be a meeting with the Budget Committee. The hearing has to be pushed back somewhere toward the end of the month. Like I said, we're kind of in a time crunch to notice it legally, but
So we should
if
go
we
for
don't
the
fall
following
within
Wednesday,
that-
the 23rd. I appreciate I stand corrected there. That would be almost identical meeting to this on the assumption that we can pass on the 23rd, which would be also a Wednesday.
See,
Still give us a
I
week.
don't remember the dates exactly, Council. Does that fall within the...
I mean,
The
I'll need
hearing
to look
laws.
into
You
that.
have to have 2 weeks to notice the hearing, though. So if you have a meeting on the 15th, you cannot notice a hearing until the 29th. Or, I'm sorry, you have to notice it in the paper for 14 days. So you couldn't actually have a meeting on it until the 30th or the 1st.
JJ, can we meet that with the papers, the deadlines the papers have?
but you don't print it until the next week.
We're going to put you on the spot, Mr. Hall.
Our deadline is Tuesday. Anything we receive as late as Tuesday for the county, we will do everything within our power to stop, change pages from the press, which is expensive, etc., to get your notices in for you.
So for this board, if we meet,
Absolutely, the press is running by Tuesday night at 5:30. We have to have pages in prior to that.
I'm sorry, when do you distribute it?
Oh, when did we print?
When are the papers distributed?
The papers are distributed beginning about 4 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday morning.
Wednesday, so you distribute on Wednesday, which would put us on June 30th. What about the other papers?
no, it would be past that
JJ?
if I could.
Defer to Mr. Knox.
So, Council Pope, Staff Jesuit, are we on the same page here on
July.
deadlines, et cetera?
When's your next printing?
Hang on one moment, Mr. Rickard. I want to hear.
Like I said,
Will
I
that
need
work?
to look into this because, usually the budgets just get, approved at the first meeting. So I need to make sure with the noticing requirements, kind of like with the budget committee, if you have to have a big notice before, but for any second or third meetings, it just has to be a standard notice. I'm not sure if that's the same for the hearings or if it needs to be the full 2 weeks.
Okay,
Something I
so you
to
need a
look
little
into.
extra time. Mr. Knox.
I defer to Council Pope, but we publish our deadlines are Tuesday, and we distribute on Friday.
Okay.
Commissioner Pash?
So if we have our meeting on the 15th, that would mean the papers couldn't publish until the 23rd, the 21st. They would, or I'm sorry, the 22nd.
Deadline.
They would have it in, and the papers won't be distributed until the 25th or 26th. So if we have a hearing and we have to do the 2 weeks, as Council Pope's going to look into, it wouldn't be until the second week of July to be able to get the budget approved.
So why can't we do it from 2 weeks now and set the dates?
I think because the issue of it being published in the paper, if it has the same notice requirements as this hearing did, it actually has to be published in the paper so many days before the meeting. And so there's just...
Now, I understand that,
Yeah.
but instead of waiting till the noticing 2 weeks after the meeting on the 16th, presumably, why can't we back up and do it now?
I mean, I guess technically we could notice that hearing, and then just the assumption would be that you guys are going to get everything worked out before then.
Okay.
We can notice it tomorrow. I can get everything into the papers tomorrow. That would then mean that one paper would publish on the 16th. 2 weeks from that day would be the 30th of June. The other paper would publish on the 18th. 2 weeks from that date would be the 2nd of July, past the deadline.
Yeah, but the pilot comes out a week from Friday, which is the Friday the 10th.
It'd be the 18th, which would be July 2nd.
16th
So that'll work.
and 18th.
No, we go 2 weeks from
The 18th.
2 weeks from today.
No.
It's got to be from the date they receive the paper.
Right. It's when the public gets to see the paper.
So we need to figure out a way to get in before June 30th. I don't think that's impossible. Do we have agreement on that?
It is impossible.
Don't necessarily do
So, Council Pope, what is a legal requirement of by the end of the deadline of June 30th?
Oh, if we don't have the budget passed, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think we lose our legal authority to spend and collect taxes.
Is that a state or federal?
It's a state statute,
State?
yes.
Yeah, it has to be done by the 30th, however we get it done.
Roadmaster Christensen?
So, I've had a state official waiting almost an hour.
I'm sorry I caused so much problems here today, but this is what my thought is. Maybe pass the budget as it is. I will go make some cuts. Like I said, I'm looking at cutting 4 people from my budget. I'll do that. I'll give it a serious look. The thing is, anything over $10,000 I buy this next year, any project, any grant, everything has to be approved by you before I can move forward. So even if this budget is adopted, if I bring something to you during the year that's in the budget, you could choose at that time to say no. Like if I bring someone, like I say, I want to do a paving this next year for $4 million. You could say no. And so maybe just pass it the way it is. I think the real message I want to say is we need to work on finding new funding. And I think that message is loud and clear here today. So, I'm not here to say not pass the budget, but I'm saying is maybe pass the budget, but really look at it when we bring our items to you for approval to move forward in personnel and materials and projects, that you look at it, you could break it down then if you want to pass them or not. Thank you.
I appreciate that, Rich, and I would add that as the commissioners, we could pay back up to $1 million, I think, in bridges from this ARP money, American Rescue Plan. We could give you $500,000 out of this 2.2 right back into bridges. Bridges is one of the things that stuck out.
That could possibly work. We're doing a $2 million bridge this year, and so if that works, that works. And so I think the big thing is that we see we can't kick the can down the road, that we all have to work together, all the department heads and all the elected officials, and we need to work on public trust. And I think we could do that. And I don't think not passing this budget is going to help move that forward. I think we could look, like I said, we could address every item as I bring it to you concerning the road department, the sheriff. He's going to bring his stuff to you for personnel and his purchases as well, and you look at those things at that time.
Thank you. Stay there for just a minute. There's another thing we could do. We could make this a budget hearing, invite the budget committee, but it wouldn't be an official budget committee meeting. So that might be one way to get to the $1.5 million that I'm promoting, and go from there. Either that, or we have to rescind or cancel the motion and then move to another motion. So I'm going to recommend that we go to January 16th with another budget hearing and with some additional recommendations to the departments and go from there.
June, you mean, not January.
What'd I say?
You said January.
Did I? I always mix up. I'm sorry. That's about the third time I've done that.
So
did you get January on there, sir? 16th is a Wednesday.
Commissioner Herzog, would you reconsider now or not?
Can we have another meeting and make the timeline before July?
Without having the full budget committee here.
And that's what I don't know off the top of my head. I need to look into that.
That's what we were just trying to discuss, and it's, one paper we can make the deadline, the other one we can't. But I'd like to just reiterate what Rich just said, is that every expenditure comes before the board. Everything over $10,000 comes before the board. The board can say yes or no. And so it's still in your hands. Even if you approve the budget, you're not approving the spending of the budget. You're approving the budget simply. You're approving the spending of the budget throughout the year as departments come, whether it's Rich's department, the sheriff's department, maintenance department, coming and saying, we have this project that's going to cost $50,000. You guys say yes or no on that. And if it's looking like we're not in line with cutting down this 2.2 to 1.5 or whatever number you want, you say no. You say no to the project.
So I'm okay with Roadmaster Christensen's recommendation. It's going to pile up the work, but like I said, that's what we're here for.
I'll make a motion.
We have to rescind the other one first.
That's correct.
Make a motion to rescind the first motion, or do you have to rescind?
No, we actually voted, right?
We did vote, yes.
So you have
do you have to make the motion to rescind? Because you said
anybody can.
Okay, I'll make that motion to rescind.
What?
The first motion.
To
rescind. Make a motion
passing,
to rescind
not passing the budget
resolution to adopt Curry County budget.
Thank you.
You want to reread that, JJ, please?
The original motion was to adopt the Curry County budget And that was lost to 1 vote yes, 2 noes.
And that's what we want to rescind.
That's what you want to rescind.
That's what Commissioner Herzog's motion is.
Need a second?
I'll second.
Afraid to ask for more discussion. Call for the question, Staff Jesuit, please.
Commissioner Pash.
Aye.
Commissioner Vice Chair Herzog.
Yes.
Chair Boyce.
Yes.
Motion carried 3-0, unanimous.
I make a motion that we approve the budget for Curry County.
Subject to?
There's no subject to.
Additional work, additional meetings, additional planning.
Chris, can
That
I
all
just
will
ask a
come.
question? Huh?
All of the additional work will come in the
That
course
has to
of normal business meetings.
But could you let me make this motion?
Go ahead. Yeah.
I make a motion to approve.
Whoop, hang on. So that motion, forgive me, but that dies for lack of a second.
Okay.
Calling for another motion. Thank you.
I make a motion to pass a resolution to adopt Curry County budget with an addition that we will pay back road department $500,000 out of this 2.2 that we've received from ARP monies, and $500,000 out of the next allotment of ARP monies for bridges.
I don't know that we can legally do that.
I don't know either. But that's my motion.
Well, again, the
Good
board
job,
is
bud.
going to be controlling all that 2.2 million. So as
what's
the ARP funds, the resolution that the board just adopted was to, I believe, was to form a committee. That committee will then bring those suggestions to the board. So again, it is all in the board's hands to repay the road fund back out of those ARP monies. So, and that will be done in the course of normal business meetings.
I would just like it in a motion
Why don't we add it to the business meeting agenda then?
Okay.
I think that's probably the best idea. Yeah.
Okay.
So let's get a clarification on the motion, please.
I guess it's just a motion to resolve to adopt the Curry County budget as is.
I'll second.
Discussion. No, I have nothing further. Call for the question.
Commissioner Pash.
Aye.
Vice Chair Herzog.
Yes.
Chair Boyce.
No.
Motion carried 2-1.
Are we done with this meeting?
No, we have to approve a resolution to set appropriations.
Excuse me, thank you.
And to categorize and impose tax. Just need a motion on both of those.
I make a motion to set the approve the appropriations.
Second.
Discussion. Call for the question, Staff Jesuit, please.
Commissioner Pash.
Aye.
Vice Chair Herzog.
Yes.
Chair Boyce.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
I make a motion to categorize and impose the tax.
Second.
Discussion. Just want the public to know that this is the same 59-cent per thousand evaluation, and that will not change according to this vote. Item 4C, resolution to categorize and impose tax. Any other discussion or comments? And if you hear that Curry County is the lowest in the state by 1 cent over Josephine County, or maybe it's the other way around. Maybe they're 60 cents. Call for the question, please.
Commissioner Pash.
Aye.
Vice Chair Herzog.
Yes.
Chair Boyce.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
Can we have 5 minutes?
Yeah, we have 5 minutes. So this budget hearing is adjourned. See everybody back here in 5 minutes. Or do you need more time?
Well, I'd like to ask, as I've stated, I've got a state official waiting, and it's for the courts of the state, and he's allotted some time that has already expired. So what should I tell him on if he can wait longer, how much longer? I know we've got Able Insurance here as well, and we've got
We'll do a
other
recess
things.
if you have a specific time you need to talk to him. How's that?
Well, let me, I'll see if I can get a hold of him and ask him exactly.
Okay, so it is 10:32. Can we get everybody back here at 10:40, please? for our regular business meeting. Thank you all.
There's something about having land and sea. Never having to choose between digging in or looking out. Here, you can go where the spirit or the wind moves you. To the tops of the trees, along secluded beaches, or into more wild and scenic rivers than anywhere else in the western United States. We're the closest place to the sunset, while still keeping your feet dry, and a destination where anyone can begin. We share more than we keep, so you can see more than you imagined. This is a place you have to touch, hold, and feel to believe. The entire shoreline of the West Coast's best coast is open to you, and playgrounds made of forests are waiting for you. Escape to Curry County and don't leave anything out.
If yours is the next big idea, and you need the right place to fine-tune it, build it, launch it, if you're only your best when you can play more than you work, if inspiration comes from the outside, you belong in Curry County. The westernmost point of the land you love, and the edge between familiar and uncharted. Break the pattern. Be where the airports are as close as the beaches, and industry and recreation never cease to amaze. Dock, dive, and dine in a single day, and never lose your connection. This is the threshold of the West. Live where you can do you, and do it well, at the farthest point from ordinary. Curry County, living on the edge.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
Wildfire, as everyone knows, has emerged as one of the big major issues affecting Oregon and, for that matter, all western states. A real actionable response that's including how do we fight fire, actively managing our forests so that we don't have the fuels out there, and how are we going to protect communities from smoke exposures. The council is really set up to have a comprehensive strategy that's based on action and based on protecting our communities.
The primary focus we as a board have come through with is that in researching the policies for fire management, yes, prescribed fire has its place on the landscape, but not during fire season. We, as a county, passed a proclamation that says once the state fire marshal declares fire season, it'll be nothing but full suppression, and recently took a resolution to the National Association of Counties, essentially says that they support coordination between agencies and local governments for the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens regarding fire, prescribed fire, fire season, anything that affects our citizens.
This is Lily Morgan from Josephine County, and we are at the Rogue Leadership Forum today, looking at the best possible partnerships that we can come up with to fight the fire issues and the smoke issues that we're facing in Southwest Oregon. So looking forward to coming up with solutions and the partnerships to get the job done so we don't face what we have the last few years with catastrophic fires and smoke that invades our communities for months to come. So this is a good opportunity, and we hope to be successful in the outcome.
Seeing so many people come together has really been exciting for me because there's a lot of expertise, there's a lot of resources, and as we attempt to do a shared stewardship approach to keeping people safe, it's really important that we get together. So my name is Merv George Jr., and I'm the Forest Supervisor for the Rogue River Siskiyou National Forest. One of the first things is making sure to get fires out if they're threatening life and property. The second thing that I'm going to focus in on is when it's safe to do so, to put some fire on the landscape when it's cooler and not during fire season, to reduce these same fuels that are giving us so much fits during the fire season.
Bob Horton, I'm the Fire Chief of Jackson County Fire District 3 in Southern Oregon. The challenges that are facing us in terms of the mega fires and the wildfires that we've been experiencing out in this valley, particularly in the last couple of years, but across the state and across the region, incredibly concerning to us in the fire community, those in our communities in general, our constituents and our patrons are extremely concerned, as they ought to be. And really the takeaway from the work that's being done now is this is an extraordinary collaboration of dozens on dozens of interested stakeholder groups who are coming together with a common purpose. It's really an inspiring showing of humanity to not only be able to provide for a greater quality of life for our people, but to be strong stewards of our land, so that our future for us and generations to come is incredibly bright.
Very pressing issue. It's bearing down on us. Fire season is approaching, and I am really interested in preventing my home and other homes in my community from being impacted by wildfire, specifically from being burnt down. That's my main reason for being involved.
Quite a collaboration of folks. We're here looking for practical solutions to help us unravel some of the issues surrounding wildfires today here in the state of Oregon. And my focus really is on planning for large wildfire events in advance of their occurrence. That way, when they do occur, we can respond more appropriately to those situations.
Well, I just think it's grand if all of the people all over the state have come together today to be concerned about water. It just warms my heart, because I know that they really will leave here today feeling more impressed about the water, because I have told them that we're all born in water. We cannot live without it. It's our job to take care of it, stop the garbage in the rivers and streams and oceans, because there's life in that water, and it's our job to keep it clean for them. Because we cannot live on this planet without the animal kingdom. I was in Ohio at the Ohio River with Dr. Emoto, the Japanese scientist who had proven water could heal. He and I stood on the riverbank and blessed the Ohio River that they had us come to do. And I prayed that God has still kept the river good for them over there. We were taught when we were little that prayer works. You too will remember.
Welcome all. Curry County, Oregon Board of Commissioners, June 9th, 2021. Please stand, if you would, for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Quick introductions here. To my far left, Curry County Director of Operations Brad Rickard. To my immediate left, Curry Commissioner Christopher Pash, Court Voice, Curry Commissioner. To my immediate right, John Herzog, Curry County Commissioner. To his right, Curry County Counsel Anthony Pope. To his right, Staff Jesuit. In the office, we have Building Inspector Garrett Thompson. We have Roadmaster Richard Christensen. And representing the newspaper, Matt Hill, Port Orford News, and Curry County Reporter, and also Treasurer Barnes. So on the line of duty casualty report, I'm just going to ask if we could, board, in the interest of time today. I'll have a very thorough report next week. And just ask for a moment of silence for all the officers, all the firefighters, and certainly military men and women that have lost their lives in serving and sacrificing for their country. Thank you very much, Board. Also joining us is pilot writer Knox Karanen. Amendment, approval of the agenda, please, Board.
Move approval?
Well, I've got one. Do you have anything, Commissioner Pash?
No, I don't.
Okay, I'm going to switch 5B to 5A. And then we have to be mindful of a public hearing for the 4-H extension budget adoption and that's in about 16 minutes. So I just want to switch items 5A and 5B. In fact, we've run out of time. My presentation on Curry County Workforce is only going to take a few minutes. The only other thing I have is 7B, consent agenda, adopt a position description for an existing position, planning director. I want to pull that from the agenda and put it on action item 8E. If we could, Board. I assume I have agreement on that? I'm not hearing anything.
That's fine with me.
I also want to give real quick a COVID report, Curry County update. Masks are off, and this is my 5th business day not to have a mask. I've been faithful. The vast majority of our staff have been more than faithful, and I just can't extend enough appreciation and gratitude to them. Most have been wearing masks from July 2020 through late July 2020 through early June 21. And we haven't been investigated by OSHA for 4 months now, so that's also a good sign.
I must have bad breath because Anthony won't take his off. Everybody, let's.
Where in the heck did that come from? Throw it over this way. Oh, Commissioner, that was great. Curry County, current risk level lower, updated risk level lower, test positivity. That's the word they use, 7.0%. Percent of population vaccinated right at 52%. We're headed for the lowest on our deal, so that's really good news. So on the agenda, let's see. Let's have Miss Amy Timius come up for, if you would please, for your Able Insurance Agency presentation. We are very glad to have you here, and you probably need to adjust that microphone to your height, if you would, Mrs. Timius.
Is that better?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So my name's Amy Timius with Able Insurance. Wendy wasn't able to be here, so I kind of got thrown the property and liability proposal at the last minute. So pardon me if I have to fumble around my notes for a few minutes on that side. I'm going to start with the property and liability insurance renewal. We emailed you the documents yesterday. But I'm just going to summarize it because there's really not a lot of changes to the property and liability. The workers'
kind of counting on that.
Yeah, the workers' comp is kind of the bad news. So I'll go with the good news first. On the liability side, the rate actually dropped a little bit from last year. Last year, your premium was $171,660 and 67 cents. And on this CIS comparison that you guys have, I don't know if you want to look at it, but there was a typo. So the correct liability premium for 2021 to 2022 is going to be $170,681.76. And then the property, excess crime, and cyber premium went up just a little bit, and that's due to the property, just due to building values increasing, so the property value or property premium increased a little bit, from $39,277.81 to $42,704.45, for a total on the liability, property, crime, cyber, total premium $213,386.21, slightly up from last year at $210,938.48. This pricing does include the risk management credit that you guys get for having us as the agent. The credit that you're getting is $24,565, and we're still keeping our consulting fee at the $15,000. We were asked to provide a quote on a $10 million liability limit. To do that would add $9,500 to your guys' cost. The reason why you guys had asked for this was because of claims, wrongful death claims in the jail and things like that. We reached out to CIS and they said that only one county in the entire state of Oregon has purchased that limit. So just kind of for your decision making, it not the norm, exactly. Not everybody's doing it. So if you choose to do that, that's great. The other thing that you guys can possibly have a savings on is on the liability side, you can get a credit of about $5,000 if you allow CIS to take control of the workers' comp claims handling. Right now, you guys have a really good relationship with SAFE and the people that come in to do your return to work program, your safety programs. So you would relinquish all of that with SAFE and you would still be insured through SAFE, but all of the risk management would be done through CIS. If you chose to do that, that would be about a $5,000 credit on the liability side. So that's just a discussion that you guys can have and let us know which way you want to go. The workers' comp is kind of a little bit of bad news, I should say. Couple things. The big things that changed the pricing this year is, one, we did a 3% COLA increase on all the payroll. So the payroll for 2021 to 2022 is going to be $6,804,941. Last year it was $6,512,390. The other big factor contributing to the premium is that the experience modification is going to go from a 0.79 to a 0.97, so only a 3% credit this year. The experience mod is calculated on claims, and it takes into claims from 2017, 18, and 19. We can't go into detail on those claims, but I can just tell you that it takes into consideration claims for those 3 years. So that's the biggest driving factor, is losing a lot of that credit. Your total premium with all the credits and the adjustments is going to go from $75,844.04 to $107,248.03. I did get a breakdown because there was, each class code also had a rate increase. We didn't send that to you guys, but if you guys want it, I can give you each class code and the breakdown of what it was and what the rate is now. And then you can see what payroll is associated with each class code. That's pretty much all I have for you guys.
Mr. Herzog? Mr. Pash? Just a clarification. That was just on the workers' comp, the $24,000 raise?
$33,000.
33, excuse me.
33.5, I think it is.
Yeah, the property and liability, 3,000 was the increase. The workers' comp is a pretty big hit, and again, the biggest factor is not that 3% pay increase that we adjusted with every class code. It's the experience mod It's the claims that are coming into play, changing it from a 0.79 credit that you're getting to the 0.97.
But 0.97 is not a bad rating, is it?
It's not, but you guys had a really, really, really good past few years.
Okay.
So you're still getting a credit. You're still good. You're not getting a debit, but it's not as good as it has been in the past years.
Well, we need to send the safe people Christmas gifts or something there. Wow. Very helpful, though. Thank you. Or no, we won't be sending them Christmas gifts now. Any other questions, board? Mrs. Dimia, sorry to keep you waiting.
No
appreciate
worries.
your patience. Appreciate the work Able Insurance does for us, and just really glad to have you here.
Did you guys want this information on the rates per class code? Okay.
That'd be great, Amy. Thank you.
Go Brown.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, let's go to real quick to public hearings. I think we've got just enough time. We're going to give 2 to 3 minutes max. Here we go. The first on the list was Gretchen Greer, please. I'm sorry. How long have I known you?
I think you know me. Good morning. It's been an interesting experience watching you guys at work. Can't say I'm real proud of you. You make me hang my head at times, but keep at it. You might get it figured out. But you got to play nice. My concern is campground shelters being proposed by ORCA, Oregon Coast Community Action. First of all, I'm Gretchen Green. I live on Sebastian Lane, and I am a second-generation Curry County resident, born and raised. I'm greatly disturbed by this article in the World and Pilot newspapers indicating that ORCA is going to be creating a campground shelter somewhere to be determined in Curry County. I have a handout which I've given to you. It's a 64 square foot shelter. It's supposed to bunk 2 people, and it has no room. I'm here to ensure that our commissioners are made aware of the campground shelter housing being proposed by ORCA for us. And speaking with my fellow county residents, there is growing concern that this is not healthy for our community and will not solve these issues. The article in the World and Pilot indicates ORCA is citing Portland, Salem, Medford, Seattle, Los Angeles, Texas as success stories for housing people. People need to take a look at these sanctuary cities on the news and in person. I personally have been to Portland. We don't want it here. Seattle, I haven't been there. I'm not going there. Curry County is not a sanctuary county, and I am concerned that we are going to become one. We're housing people with drug and alcohol issues, mental health issues, and pure willingness to be on the public dole is not a solution. It is only going to perpetuate a bad situation. Who authorized this type of people warehousing in Curry County without any public feedback from the residents? Who is going to provide the security, food, sanitation, medical needs, transportation, and etc.? Our cities, sheriff department, courts, jails, food banks, and local generosities are overwhelmed by the homeless population we now see in Gold Beach, Brookings, and Port Orford's doorways, alleys, under bridges, on trespassed properties. The trash and sanitation issues are horrendous. Our tax dollars are being taken away via grant funds.
That gives you 30 seconds.
Okay. I just want to know, who's going to pay for the electricity? Devereaux Center says they're going to do it in Coos Bay, and they're going to provide the meals and then volunteer for dinners, and it's, read the article, it's very informative. I just want to make sure that Curry County, we're bad enough as it is, that we don't have these little boxes and we're leading people to believe that that's how it should be.
Ms. Green, when was the World article? Do you have the date on that?
A couple
Did you
weeks
hand it
ago.
out? That's what you gave us. I'm sorry. Great. Thank
Yeah,
you
I
for
gave
that
you that
information.
information.
Very helpful.
Okay.
Anything else? Questions? Board? David Dallin, please come up.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dallin. I am a local resident of Gold Beach. I was asked to talk about PTSD. And after sitting through the meeting, I've got a little bit more stress here earlier. Only comment I have to earlier was safety. Safety first. What good is nice smooth roads if crime is rising and we don't have the sheriffs or the jail? Anyway, PTSD. Basically, it's caused, because this is PTSD month, evidently, that we're in right now. It's basically caused by, from a past event that was extremely traumatic or stressful, usually very dangerous. Could have been a near-death experience that a person hasn't fully gotten over. Could have been a one-time event or ongoing. Now, I believe military PTS is primarily caused from what a soldier has to go through to survive, to accomplish the mission. Same with police officers and that. In combat, especially boots on the ground, weapon in hand, man-to-man fighting, it's either kill or be killed. Now, a soldier has to shut off stuff, whatever you want to call it, disconnect from their feelings and emotions in order to survive, in order to win the battle. Especially the emotion of fear and the feeling of pain, whether you're experiencing it or causing it to someone else. Now, I believe that's true with nearly all traumatic experiences. And after the danger or event is passed, we have to start the recovery process. And it is a process. It will take time, but it's time and energy well spent. Our health and welfare is at stake here. All branches of our health, psychological, emotional, physical, spiritual, they're all interconnected. Now, those feelings and emotions that we shut off or stuff or disconnected from at the time of the traumatic event will start to resurface. And that's a good thing, because why? Well, we have to deal with them. If we don't, they will go back down and smolder like a volcano, basically, and erupt eventually. Those negative feelings and emotions must be dealt with. So, the big question is how? Well, I should have said before, I'm not an expert. I'm not a doctor. I'm a survivalist, but I've dealt with traumatic and near-death experiences, my own. So how do we deal with it? How do we have victory over post-traumatic stress disorder? Well, for me, how I dealt with a traumatic event was not the right way at first. I either denied the whole experience even happened, or pretended, or I would numb the pain and emotions and with alcohol or drugs. That doesn't work because it just resurfaces, right? So, like with any problem, the first step out of denial is to admit that there is a problem. Then it's time to seek help. Trust is a must in any and all relationships. We must find at least one person that we can fully trust to open up to. And then we must slowly talk about the event or events in order for the healing to begin. Getting with others in support groups is very, very critical too. That they've already gone through it, or they've gone through similar experiences, and we're helping and supporting one another. The different 12-step programs, especially the faith-based programs. Forgiveness is a big key also. Forgiving whomever was involved in it. Forgiving God if we blamed God. Forgiving our parents. Forgiving our Uncle Sam for shipping us over. Whatever. But that's, it's a big thing, especially in this day and age with COVID, stress, everything else. All right, thank you for
David.
listening.
That was an excellent report. Thanks. That takes bravery. Did I see you playing with one of your grandchildren right outside or walking with one of your grandkids the other day?
Yeah.
How old? Tell us real quick.
Oh, he's a little, almost 5. He's graduating today, matter of fact, from Head Start. And so,
well, that was
and,
that was downright uplifting. I didn't know. I assumed it was your child.
That's him.
Okay.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you. We have 2 more public comments. We're also up against a time deadline here for a public hearing at the 4-H and Extension Service. Cheryl McDonald, welcome. Come on up if you would, please.
Just in case, but kind
Pull
of
those-
gauge the room and
Pull those microphones down just a little bit. Great to see you.
thank you. You too. Thank you for setting aside this time for us. This is a matter adopting and making appropriations and imposing and categorizing taxes for the fiscal year 2021-22 budget for the Curry County 4-H and Extension Service District. Whereas on April 28th, 2021, the governing body of the Curry County 4-H and Extension Service District met to hear public comment on the 2021-22 budget for the Curry County 4-H and Extension Service District as approved by its budget committee, which has been published according to law. And whereas that budget requires an ad valorem property tax rate on all property within the district in the amount of .1021 per $1,000 of assessed value, be it resolved that the governing body of the Curry County 4-H and Extension Service District hereby adopts the budget for the fiscal year 2021-22 in the sum of $1,015,316 now on file at the Curry County Extension Office, and be it further resolved that the following appropriations are made for the Curry County 4-H and Extension Service District for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2021 and ending June 30, 2022. General Fund Materials and Services, $323,427. Capital Outlay, $500. Contingencies, $32,343. For total appropriations, all funds, $356,270. Total unappropriated and reserve amounts, $659,046. For total adopted budget, all funds, $1,015,316. And be it further resolved that the governing body of the Curry County 4-H and Extension Service District hereby imposes taxes as provided for in the adopted budget at the rate of .1021 per 1,000 of assessed value for operations, and that these taxes are hereby imposed for the tax year 2021-22 upon the assessed value of all taxable property within the boundaries of the district, and are categorized as follows: for the permanent tax rate, general government of .1021 per $1,000. Dated this 9th day of June, 2021.
Thank you again.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Pash.
There's a typo on
I
the
see
last
that.
line. That 2021 should read 2021-2022.
Yes, you're correct.
Yes.
And I will fix that and send that over to Mr.
Thank you.
Jesuit. I caught it when I was reading it.
Alrighty.
You guys were
Well, I
watching.
didn't catch it. So, Commissioner Herzog,
Oh, thank you. Very good report.
any comments from the public?
I make a motion to approve the budget.
Second.
Good. Last chance for discussion. Call for the question, Staff Jesuit, please.
Commissioner Pash.
Aye.
Vice Chair Herzog.
Yes.
Chair Boyce.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
Thank you.
All right.
you again.
Thank you so much.
Public comments next is Connie Hunter, please.
Connie Hunter, and I'm a proud citizen of South Curry County. And as Dallin spoke a minute ago on PTSD Awareness Month, and so I wanted to talk a little bit about women and PTSD. How many women veterans have PTSD? Among women veterans of the conflicts in Iraq and Afghanistan, VA data shows that almost 20% have been diagnosed with PTSD. The VA also has prevalence data on PTSD in women who served in Vietnam from the National Vietnam Veterans Readjustment Study. Of the 1,632 Vietnam veterans in the study, 432 were women who had served in or around Vietnam between 1964 and 1975. The study found that approximately 27 of women Vietnam veterans suffered from PTSD sometime during their post-war lives. By the same comparison, the lifetime prevalence of PTSD in male Vietnam veterans was 31%. I wanted to talk a little bit more about honoring our women veterans in Curry County. And I'd like to present a challenge, something to bring us together at a time when things can be divided. We're going to call it the Curry County Challenge. Can we find our women veterans? According to the last census, Curry County has 170 female veterans. If you know of a woman veteran who served in the military, let's get her registered for a special honoring event. In addition to that, the national level VA is seeking to find our women veterans. Now, there's a little history behind this. A few years ago, Oregon, actually in 2015, created a position for a women veterans coordinator. And Commissioner Boyce will remember Elizabeth Estabrooks when we did the very first women veterans honoring at the Vet Fest that year. And Elizabeth came down, they did a listening session, and we'd had a fantastic event, and we did locate at that time about 35 female veterans who were given special pins and celebrated. Since that time, Elizabeth Estabrooks has left Oregon. She lives in Washington, D.C., and has recently become the acting executive director for Women Veterans Affairs.
Don't pay any attention to that color thing.
Okay, thank you. What's amazing about that is, as of March this year, Liz is the new acting director of VA Center for Women Veterans in Washington, D.C., leading the development and implementation of new initiatives that support and enhance the Center for Women Veterans' missions and vision. She advocates for cultural transformation, both within and outside the VA, to recognize the service and contribution of women veterans and service members and raise awareness of the responsibility to treat women veterans with dignity and respect. Elizabeth is team leader for staff supervision, development, and creative performance, as well as organizational and strategic planning that will continue to move the Center for Women Veterans forward to successfully meet their goals. In response to the recent increase in women veterans, the VA has implemented clinical initiatives, research agendas, and programs dedicated to women, including the Women Veterans Health Program and the Center for Women Veterans. Every VA in the country now has a Women Veterans Program manager. I'm going to share a little bit with the group, and I'll send an email to all the commissioners, because there is a tool, and it helps people decide what they want to do with their PTSD. It's called a PTSD treatment decision aid. And it's a simple tool, and I'll share that with everybody in the group and with our folks in the media, because that's a huge piece of the puzzle. Thank you for letting me go over the time, but if it's okay, I'm still friends with Elizabeth Estabrook on Facebook. If we could all give a shout out to Elizabeth, I will show her the YouTube and timestamp that we love you, Elizabeth, and thank you for representing our women veterans.
We assume you'll be back from Washington, D.C. before too long.
Well, let's put it this way. Our homegirl done good.
Yes, for
Thank
sure.
you.
Thank you, Connie. Hey, Connie, I spent, I think it was 35, 40 minutes with Director Allen, Rocky Phillips, and 3 of his staff in Roseburg. I think it was 2 weeks ago today. They said to be sure and tell you hello. So that was a very good meeting, and just the 6 of us, I was pretty honored. So this is the first chance I've had to pass that on to you.
There's some good things I think that are brewing.
Yeah, we
Thank
just need to
for being a part
nudge
of
them down to Curry County a little bit more each day.
Well, and you know what? I'll just for a second, because I
Sure.
cannot not acknowledge something that happened on behalf of a female veteran with PTSD. And this female veteran had been ripped off by contractors, and she'd had her RV stolen. We have 2 people
I
in this
remember that.
room that were heroes to that female veteran, Commissioner Chris Pash and Garrett. They came to her house and helped her work through those things. When I first met her, she hadn't been out of bed very much, and she had a storage bin where she had just been putting her mail for months. And that's how we started out. And from that, they've helped her weed through things. Now her life's not perfect, but it's way better. And she also knows she has people that she can trust in our government. Thank you all.
And just for everyone's knowledge, those people that did that crime to her now have warrants out on them for their arrest in Los Angeles County.
Thank you, sir.
I'd like to recognize another veteran female, Diane Daniels, Commander, U.S. Navy, retired. She's also disabled, lost some of her body parts. I'd like to lift her up for the meeting as well. I spoke with her the other day, and she's got a lot of challenges that she's going through as well. So,
could we get her in for a proclamation if possible?
Probably most people that are don't want.
And Commissioner
Don't
Pash,
want.
thank you for sharing that, and feel free to share my information. And our Veterans Task Group, it does have female veterans, and we are working on trying to find those 170 female veterans. So
Good girl.
thank you for that. That's really important to lift them up.
Connie, how do you keep track of, you went from 30 to 170, does the vets, they keep track where people live, goes into a database? I mean, that's really good information to know.
You know, I am having trouble hearing you, Commissioner.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's my tinnitus, not you.
Do they have a database? I mean, how do they know it went from 30 to 170 on the female veterans in Curry County?
That was according to the last census.
Okay.
So we could be a little bit more, a little bit less than that, but that's where we landed. So if we could just kind of use that as a baseline number and hope that we can reach out and find them. I think it would be fantastic if we could actually find those 170 female veterans who, like Vietnam veterans, were disparaged sometimes and discouraged and didn't even recognize that they were veterans. Some were even told as they were leaving the military that they were not veterans and they were not eligible for benefits. And so as time goes on, more female veterans are admitting to their veteran status, acknowledging it, but also finding out that they really are veterans. Now that seems so odd, but it's true. And thank you for the time and the energy that everybody in this room puts toward a greater good on behalf of all of our Curry County veterans. In times where we're divided, I can see us still coming together over some important greater goods, and this is one of them, and I appreciate that.
Thanks for your great work. Mr. Cam Lynn, you're next. We're definitely going to hold you to those lights. No.
I know.
You can pull that up just a little more. Perfect, thank
There?
you.
Okay.
Good to have you here. Good to see you.
My name is Cam Lynn. Thank you, Chairman Boyce, Commissioner Posh, and Commissioner Herzog for the time this morning. What I want to talk about is a fire safety issue in the south part of the county. Before I do that, I want to make it clear why I'm presenting this to you commissioners is because I would like the commission, Curry County, to work in conjunction with the U.S. Forest Service because the problem is on their land. And that's kind of the final goal here is to have some motivation, not just from a citizen to talk to the district ranger, for example, but from Curry County itself to go to the district ranger and hopefully I can explain what the problem is well enough to whether that can be done. The problem is a slide on one of the U.S. Forest Service roads that goes up to Vulcan Lake, which is a popular spot. It's as a crow flies, it's from Brookings, it's probably 15 to 20 miles as the crow flies. I think it's northeast. The main road to that area is blocked by a pretty good sized slide. And I've got, if you can access the thumb drive that is there, there are pictures of the slide.
Where?
Oh, I gave it to John.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, okay. So
is it?
Yeah. So the first, it's a slide. The slide itself is blocking this main Forest Service road. It's about 200 feet long.
The slide is 200 feet long?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's a pretty good sized slide. The concern that I have and other citizens have is that the Forest Service has committed to removing this slide sometime in 2022. Well, we will have at least one fire cycle, possibly 2 fire cycles before this slide is removed. There's the other, not only does this road serve recreation areas, it serves one of the main unburned areas in Curry County. So if that slide is not corrected, this is the alternate route. This alternate route, the road bed is sound, but as you can see here, perhaps not for long. At this point, the road bed is 12 feet wide. With the slide on one road, and these roads come together, kind of two ways, and they meet up here, and they go on up to the Vulcan Lake area. So the concern is, we've got a situation where this is blocked right now. The other road, I would consider not an engineer, but just from a citizen standpoint, it's severely compromised. It's also in places, a very narrow road where two vehicles cannot pass. This slide, they're putting this off at least until 2022. The reason that I'm here is I talked to an employee of the Forest Service, and he said, well, there's some noises about repairing it this year. Hopefully in June or July. Now, that's my sense. That's not from the Forest Service. But at least they seem to understand there is an issue here. The problem that we have had, and I'm a fan of history because that means when things happen now, I can look back in history and say, this is kind of how things have been. If we do have a fire in this south area of Curry County, the Forest Service will respond like they have in the past. Historically, we're sorry, we're doing everything we can. We're trying to get equipment in here, but the equipment's a week away, and we're in fire season. So the reason I'm approaching you now is this is a problem today. It's going to cost, and these are made up figures, it's going to cost $100,000 to fix the road. It'll cost $500 million to fight a fire. And you understand the comparison there. They're not accurate figures, but it costs a lot more to solve the problem today than to let it go.
So Cam, I've talked to Supervisor George twice in the last 10 days. We talked about everything except this.
Oh.
And so we're having a fire meeting a week from last night, Tuesday, and he will be in town. I'll take this thumb drive and make sure he gets fully oriented. You know, you reference that the response to the fires are basically the same for the Forest Service. I don't dispute that, certainly. And but he's got a different approach, a different attitude, and a different commitment. And so your presentation couldn't be, comments couldn't be better. And so I'll make sure he knows, and let's see if we can get that open, because your reasons and your rationale is spot on.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, the one other comment I would make is that if there were a fire in this area and you had both roads open and accessible, you've got one way up, you're not going to meet anybody. You've got another way down for fire equipment, I mean, which is it's a great plus. So that's
200-foot slide is huge.
I'm sorry?
A 200-foot slide is huge.
It is. The other side to that is from a citizen standpoint, if I had a cat, I could go up there in a day and remove all that.
Yeah.
But we all here understand that's not the way the world works, because you've got a lot of constraints when you do anything up here. So anyway, thank you.
We could give you a permit if you can find a cat, right?
Well, just a minute. Let's talk.
Cam, how far up South Fork, is that up?
You go right directly across South Fork Bridge.
Yep. Take a right.
5 miles. It's 5 miles.
So it's before like the Quail Mountain.
It's before you go up to this where it tees with that road that comes around Quail Prairie side.
Prairie, yeah.
And so that's the way to get to this other area, but that's the compromised road in the other slide. And an engineer may say, oh, it's sliding out, but it'll last. And maybe it will, maybe it won't, but I consider it compromised. And that secondary road the other way around has washed out before, not in that spot, but in other places.
Cam, we're at the City Hall 6 to 7:30 on Tuesday night, Gold Beach City Hall. Could you call Guy and Al and Lee Riddle and George Rhodes, and could you possibly be at that meeting? It would really be good. We're going to have Coos Forest Protective Association, a lot of the local volunteers. Of course, the Forest Service, their new guy is Dan Quinos. We worked with him on the Klondike fire. I don't know if you remember him or not, but it would be great to have that group there, and anybody else that, I'm going to have a little report on that later today.
Well, and I think this is one forum where I can get this message out, and I appreciate the opportunity to express this. Tuesday night,
yep.
Another wonderful forum. So, yes, I will try to gather people together to do that. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Cam. Good to see you. Did you have something?
No, I just thank you.
See you, bud.
Okay, thank you.
Good to see you, Cam. So we're up against, I think we're going to break for an 11:30 lunch, maybe just a couple minutes before so you can make your call.
It's already made. I say he's going to be on at 11:30.
On at 11:30. What's that? Oh, on here?
He's going to do the presentation.
Oh.
So it's a go-to meeting.
Okay.
And he's going to be on a video presentation to discuss 8A courthouse security and implementation.
That's awesome. Okay, so we need to take a real quick break and be back here just prior to 11:30 if we can. Thank you all.
There's something about having land and sea. Never having to choose between digging in or looking out. Here, you can go where the spirit or the wind moves you. To the tops of the trees, along secluded beaches, or into more wild and scenic rivers than anywhere else in the western United States. We're the closest place to the sunset while still keeping your feet dry, and a destination where anyone can begin. We share more than we keep, so you can see more than you imagined. This is a place you have to touch, hold, and feel to believe. The entire shoreline of the West Coast's best coast is open to you, and playgrounds made of forests are waiting for you. Escape to Curry County and don't leave anything out.
If yours is the next big idea, and you need the right place to fine-tune it, build it, launch it, if you're only your best when you can play more than you work, if inspiration comes from the outside, you belong in Curry County. The westernmost point of the land you love, and the edge between familiar and uncharted. Break the pattern. Be where the airports are as close as the beaches, and industry and recreation never cease to amaze. Dock, dive, and dine in a single day, and never lose your connection. This is the threshold of the West. Live where you can do you, and do it well, at the farthest point from ordinary. Curry County, living on the edge.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
Wildfire, as everyone knows, has emerged as one of the big major issues affecting Oregon and, for that matter, all western states. A real actionable response that's including how do we fight fire, actively managing our forests so that we don't have the fuels out there, and how are we going to protect communities from smoke exposures.
Back in session. It is 11:30, June 9th, 2021. Welcome back. We have a distinguished guest here zooming in. Commissioner Pash, would you like to take over this agenda item, please?
Sure. While I think it was, a year and a half ago, Tom, we talked about the possibility of changing the way our courthouse security is. This is Tom Langford. He is with the state of Oregon, and I'll let him take most of this presentation. I just wanted to explain to everyone that we are looking at, as a committee that was formed, to change the security procedures and the way it's done with our courthouse. So go ahead, Tom, if you wouldn't mind.
Thank you, Commissioner, and I want to thank the other distinguished commissioners before us today that allowed me the opportunity to speak. So, as the Commissioner mentioned, about a year and a half ago, the Advisory Committee for Court Security, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Quite well now, thank you.
All right, perfect. If you hear any loud banging or drilling, by the way, they're remodeling the courthouse here in Coquille beneath my feet. So I apologize for that before I get started, but that officially started this morning. Mr. Pope's well aware of some of that process that was going on before he left Coos County. So I apologize for those noises, but hopefully the construction guys are eating right now and ladies. So about a year and a half ago, the Advisory Committee for Court Security met, and we meet typically annually to discuss different measures that can be put in place, gaps in security for the courthouse, and determine, what areas we can work on towards improvement. One of the areas that was designated at that time that we could work on towards improvement is securing the courthouse door system and limiting access to 2 points of entry, which would be the east and west door of the courthouse, and securing the north and south door of the courthouse. At that time, the advisory committee recommended to secure those doors, and I believe there may have been a work session the commissioners held at that time to discuss that venture. We met again last week and discussed that same item, and it was again recommended that we bring that before the Board of Commissioners to discuss securing 2 of those doors to entry, not to egress. There would still be egress doors in case of a fire or an emergency, but the process would assist in securing the courthouse long term, providing a more sustainable and secure structure for all parties that enter and utilize that facility. As the commissioners know, that's a multi-use structure across the street from you, and there's county agencies that also utilize that facility. It would also allow the sheriff's department to post a metal detector at one of the front doors, and then more easily provide security for certain matters at any given time, because those doors would already be secured from the outside. So what I'm here for today is on behalf of the committee to discuss with the board the option and recommendation to secure that north and south entry door. There's some decision points that are beyond the committee's ability to make and really kind of fall back to the BOC in terms of who would be permitted, if the decision is made to secure those doors, who would be permitted to still use those doors for an entry point. Those doors are key fobbed, as you may or may not be aware, and they are programmed to allow individuals to continue to access those doors. That's a decision point that's really kind of beyond the initial recommendation and a larger kind of policy discussion of how we utilize the north and south entry point. But today's really more or less to have that general conversation about the potential of securing those doors and kind of moving our court use facility into a more secure and sustainable structure that provides for a more safe environment for all users of the building.
And our committee, when we met, it was unanimous to ask the board to do this. I think there's a lot to be gained from doing this. Now, we've got youth that come into the courthouse. We've got, we're seeing crime increase here dramatically. To have the metal detector in front for high-profile things, our sheriff has said that they would place the machine there permanently, and that way there it could easily be set up and deputy posted on the days that it's necessary. But they necessarily wouldn't use it every day. It would be there permanently, though. So again, I just want to reiterate that the board or our committee recommended this unanimously to the Board of Commissioners.
Vice Chair Herzog?
So when we were talking about, sir, when you were talking about the key fobs, so
Yes, sir.
would employees be able to enter? What?
I think that's a larger kind of policy
That's it.
decision that the board needs to make. I can tell you, we did this in Coos County a couple of years ago. We had multi-entrances. For example, I think the main courthouse in Coquille had 7 entrances. The North Bend structure, before the county vacated that North Bend structure, had, I don't know, there was like 8 or 9 different entrances there. And so what the Board of Commissioners decided in Coquille is only to allow the front and rear doors to be accessible. And the rear door was a non-ADA door, unlike in Curry County. That rear door is ADA access for that facility. And the only individuals that were allowed to access the rear door in Coquille were those that had key fobs or key codes. It's a punch door. It has a 4-digit punch access card to it. So the decision could be made either way, to only allow entry from that east and west door, or to continue to allow entry for approved county and state court personnel entries through those north and south doors through their key fobs. It could be done either way. There's pros and cons to that decision. You could open that door and let your friend in, and so I would think, we might want to have a deeper conversation, maybe in a work session, about what that looks like. But it could work either way. I worked for a court system in Ohio that allowed entry through those secure doors for personnel. And that worked out just fine. So I can see the decision either way.
And I wouldn't have a problem with doing it either way, either, at least initially, to allow key fob entry for people. But if we have a problem with that, then we can always change that. I think we need to protect the building. We need to protect the judges, witnesses that come in to testify, and court personnel. I think we need to protect them. So I'd like to see this move forward if we can.
It's hard from a security standpoint, and I don't want to speak for the sheriff, but it's hard from a security standpoint to shift and to secure that building when you have 4 entrances. Any building with 4 entrances, I think, as any of us can imagine, is hard to secure. I think that's why we see most of our stores and businesses have 1 or 2 points of entry, just because it's easier for businesses to monitor that way. So this really, ultimately, this aligns with kind of that premise of single point. Ideally, we would have a single point entry system, and then there would be a secondary point for prisoners and inmates, and then there would be a third point of entry for all personnel to enter the facility. I know in the plans through the feasibility study that's really how that's laid out. Unfortunately, we occupy a building that was built in, I think, 1953, and some of these things that we're dealing with in today's society don't align with the mindset of 1953, unfortunately. And that's just kind of the structure and nature of what we're living in today. In 50 years, our predecessors and those that will be here after us may be making a different decision, but unfortunately, that's kind of what we're looking at today.
Mr. Lankford, I'm glad that Commissioner Herzog mentioned the employee portion of this. So with this recommendation, if I understand correctly, the access for the employee, the personnel, would be through the north and south doors. Do I have that right? I didn't really see that
It wouldn't inherently change. So personnel would be able to access all 4 points. They would have to use their key fobs on the north and south door. The east and west, so the west door that faces the ocean and the east door that's the ADA access, those would be unlocked to the public for general reuse. We would have to post some signage on the north and south door, which I am willing to purchase for the county. That would limit that access and entry point and just direct parties, the public, to the east and west door. But personnel, anyone that has a fob, would be able to use that north-south door or go into the general public door on the east-west sides.
Great, thank you. I think that's probably what you explained, and I appreciate the clarification, Commissioner.
Yeah, good.
Herzog?
That's it.
Very good. I appreciate the reminder. You come all the way from Ohio. I remember now. Welcome.
Originally from Michigan.
We won't hold that against you. Hey, just real quick, I know you obviously spend a lot of time in Coos County too. What is the construction they have going on up there right now? I haven't been up there for several months and I can't remember, honestly.
So the board up here decided to close the North Bend Annex, which is where we had a court facility. That facility is in North Bend. It also held and housed at one time Coos Health and Wellness, which vacated that building 2.5, 3 years ago. So the decision was made to close that building permanently. And then the courts and the commissioners worked collaboratively together to designate space in the main courthouse to remodel a new courtroom, a new office space for staff and judges. The county commissioners, county council, and county HR then relocated their offices to the Owen building, and then the state courts are going to then occupy their old offices through a remodel effort to have a new courtroom and staff structure space. So that's what's going on currently. Is projected to be completed in December of this year. So about a 6-month project that we worked on with the county and the county worked on with the courts.
You mentioned the Owens building right straight across the street. That's going to become a courtroom, did you say?
No, that's so the county council, the county commissioners, and the county HR all moved to the Owen building.
Okay.
So they vacated the main courthouse and moved over there to free up space for a 4th courtroom in this building. Right now, we are in a temporary courtroom that's in the juvenile building, and it's just a large room because we vacated after the county announced they wanted to close the North Bend Annex. We vacated the courtroom over there, and so there's that drilling.
Pick up your feet.
Yeah, so we vacated, state courts vacated their existing courtroom in the North Bend Annex. And so I've fit staff into any place that I could fit staff for the time being. It's about a year. We vacated in November of 20, so it's going to be about a year, just over a year of, tight quarters, 6 feet apart still, until we get some remodeled space. So it was, I think, a necessary move. It comes at a cost somewhat to the public, but we're doing a lot of things remotely right now too. And ultimately it ends up saving the county long-term fiscal resources because they're not having to clean and maintain that North Bend structure.
Okay. Thanks, Tom. I appreciate your work, and I'll give you a holler and let you know what we decide.
Thank you. I appreciate all 3 of the commissioners.
Appreciate your patience.
Good to see you too.
You need to make a few more trips down here, though, right? To Curry County?
I think I'm going to be down there on Friday, to be honest with you.
Good deal. Good to see you, and thank you again.
Sorry for the delay.
Yes, sorry.
Thank you all. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.
So I make a motion, we move forward with securing the doors on the courthouse and allow the sheriff to place the metal detector and the main entries.
Second.
Discussion. I just want to verify the employees still have, still have 3 options coming into the courthouse.
They'll have 4.
4 options, yeah.
Well, that's right, 4. But I thought the ADA one on the east side does not have the fob system.
It doesn't, but you can access it through there.
Okay, I got you. Thank you. That clarifies that.
So there won't be a metal detector on this lower...
No, but they're going to post someone there and put signage.
Okay, all right.
And the state's going to pay for the signage.
Okay.
Good work. Thank you. Call for the question, please. Staff Jesuit.
Mr. Pash.
Aye.
Vice Chair Herzog.
Yes.
Chair Boyce.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
So I'll notify Mr. Langford and I'll notify the sheriff's office.
Thank you. I want to jump ahead here to the MOU, Memo of Understanding with City of Brookings, the building inspection. Garrett Thompson, would you please come on up, and really good to see you. Welcome to working with Curry County, and thanks for looking out for Brookings, and really want to welcome you to our program, and we're just incredibly glad to have you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So you want to make a report, or you want to clarify just a couple little comments, errors that was in the MOU?
Yes, there was 3 points. The first is that the City of Brookings does have a building inspector. He is preparing to sit for the building official certification, so he will be the sitting building official, but he does not have his commercial certifications. And so that is what, that would be lead into the second point, which is the services that are provided would be those commercial services, including commercial plan review. So that would need to be added to that list. So, and the last point is I would like to put in a limiting factor just to make sure that we're not burying ourselves with additional work. If we get to that point, or if there's a conflict of interest or any such thing, I would like to have the opportunity to ask the city to take such matters to the state for consideration. So.
Well, I'm not surprised. Great to hear that, and that's the logical move to pull the county together. And I know you've worked very closely with him. How long? 3 years, I think, is it?
For through the city?
Yes. No, I mean the gentleman you're talking about.
Dennis Tippett. Yeah. So he was he's been working for the city longer than I have, but in a different department. I brought him in. It's been a year, I believe. So, but he was in the construction trades for many years, way back, prior to working for the city. So, he's a solid individual, and he's a good replacement once he gets up to speed.
Well, you'll be working with him a lot in the future, I think.
Yes.
That's a good recommendation you had there. Did you, I just want the public to know that, to put you on the spot here just a little bit, there's no real additional training that you're required or needing to do your job for Curry County and the whole building inspection profession.
That is correct.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, needless to say, you come quite highly recommended. So it's just,
I appreciate that.
Great to have you here. Anything else you wanted to communicate to the board or the public?
You know, other than those three corrections to the MOU, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone here for giving me the opportunity, and I look forward to working with you all, and I'm glad to be here.
Mr. Thompson, we do have, you know, earlier in the day in the budget hearing, something that came up was, you know, people that build onto their land and we're trying to catch up, and you know, they're not on the tax rolls or they didn't get the proper permits. You know, there's varying, you know, estimates on how many people and properties are actually out there. You're probably aware we had a program that they could come in for over a 6-month period and get amnesty.
Yes.
And so, you know, we're going to keep pursuing that. We're not trying to grow our government here, but we do want to, you know, we do want to have fairness, and so that's probably going to come on your desk a little bit on occasion there. So
okay.
I'm glad you're aware of that. Thank you.
Sure thing. All right, thank you.
Bye, Garrett. Thank you.
So I make a motion to approve the MOU with the amendments as prescribed by our new building inspector, Mr. Thompson.
Well, JJ, were you just asking, was this on consent?
No.
Okay.
Oh, excuse
Well,
me, it is
it
too.
was.
I'm sorry, but I wanted to let him report.
Oh, okay, yeah, it's on consent anyway, so,
Yeah.
but it's gonna have to be with the,
I think
Amendments?
we do require a vote because it had amendments.
Yeah.
Okay.
We can do that, yeah.
Second?
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Pash.
Aye.
Vice Chair Herzog.
Yes.
Chair Boyce.
Yes?
Consent agenda approved unanimously.
No, not the consent agenda.
Just the J from it, the MOU.
Yep. Oh, just the MOU, not the consent
Yes.
agenda?
Right, that was just J, the MOU.
So we're going to go back to consent agenda, and we pulled 7B and put that as 8E, I think, yes. And then on consent agenda, item 7A, amended minutes, January 20th, 2021 business meeting. Item 7C, approved credit card for employee Alicia Wibking-Cron. Item 7D, approved credit card for employee Garrett Thompson. Don't ever put a P in that last name, right? Item consent agenda 7E, approve hiring for litter patrol, juvenile department. Item 7F, appoint safety committee member. Who would that be again? Mr. Jesuit?
Yeah.
I think that's unanimous, isn't it?